All right, y'all. Welcome to All Politics Are Local, America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. Y'all know if it's Friday, y'all know it's time for All Politics Are Local. So tonight we've got a full show, and we may have a surprise coming up at the end. I don't want to say just now. I haven't gotten a text confirmation as of yet, but the last 15 minutes of the show, we may have a surprise guests coming through. So, Zaid, you want to go ahead and let's give them the rundown, my brother?
Full rundown, full show as always. In this first hour, we had the great Lawrence Hamm, aka Ading Ochunga, and Bill Davis, two leaders from the People's Organization from Progress, statewide leader and founder Lawrence Hamm, and the Plainfield chair Bill Davis. We're going to talk about a lot. We're going to start, of course, with the anniversary of the epic Newark uprising. Sunday marks the 59th anniversary of the launch of that epic moment. 2 days later was the Plainfield uprising, right? But the People's Organization for Progress is also deeply involved in all of the efforts to rescue, protect, and secure whatever rights around the vote that we have left and still have to fight for. We've got some good news on the New Jersey front with the governor signing the Voting Rights Act of New Jersey after John Lewis, but the fight on the federal level is in full gear, from the Supreme Court to the madness that's in the White House and in Congress. So we're going to talk about some actions coming up in defense of the vote, in the reality of that climate that those two brothers are going to talk about. After that, Public Square Amplifier returns with the great Josie Gonsalves and one of her powerful young writers, Demi Guo, who's got a powerful article on a historic look at private prisons in these United States. And let us appreciate that Delaney Hall is not just a center of prison abuse, it is a private prison, a prison run for profit, making over $1 billion for all the torture that they're putting people through right here in this town. Is why so many of us are raising hell about. Look forward to that. And on the second part of that conversation, Charlene Walker, Faith in New Jersey, Reverend Anya Sammler Michael, and Ghana Hylton of UU Faith New Jersey. We're talking about some actions that they've just done and have in motion in terms of bringing more faith leaders to converge on that den of torture that is Delaney Hall. Look forward to that. And I've got some young folks coming after that. About a year and a half ago, I had the great Denisah Williamson, one of our pioneering daughters in community-based violence intervention. Well, at the time, she was transitioning from the Hub, one of our oldest CVI spaces, and developing her own organization and program called Pushh Ahead. Well, she has been pushing ahead with her young folks, and some of her young men were standouts at the recent Pull Up for Peace Conference of Community-Based Violence Intervention Programs at Atlantic City. And we're going to let her introduce you to some of her young men and the work that they're doing. And then I'm anxious to see what the surprise going to be that our founder, the great Ed Riley, is teasing us about. So we got a full plate. Let's ride.
Yeah. Yep. Let's get it on, brother. You know. Let's go.
And our first two guests have come. Demo, Bill, welcome back. Bill, is this your first time with us? It's not your first time with us, is it? I don't think he can hear me. Bill, can you hear us?
Can y'all turn the volume up? Because I'm having difficulty hearing too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we hear you loud. We
hear you fine. You coming in real good. I don't think Bill can hear us at all. Bill, can you hear us?
I don't think he can hear. He probably need to go out and come back in.
Yeah. Let me text him. I don't know if he's even gonna see it because I don't know. It looks like he might be driving, so that's gonna be hard to get him to even do that. Let me try and call him. Dean will start the conversation with what we did last week around July 5th, the epic anniversary of Frederick Douglass's What to the American Slave is the 4th of July, and use that as a tie-in for what we got coming up Sunday, all the way through August around the whole question of voting rights. And let me try and get Bill tuned in.
Well, let me start quickly with July 1st, because we had a press conference on July 1st to denounce the shooting and killing of 1-year-old Wiley in Senatobia, Mississippi. We had that press conference in front of the federal building in the scorching heat. The temperatures were near 100 degrees, but stalwart representatives of various organizations came out and participated with us to call for justice for Cohen Wiley, for justice for the victims of police brutality here in New Jersey, such as Wally Bay and Carl Dorsey and Deborah Terrell, Major Gulia Dale III, Najee Seabrooks, Bernard Placide, and Andrew Washington, and many others, and also call for justice for the
You muted it, and the thing was muted it.
Speech, "What to the Slave is the 4th of July." And that reading was held at Bethany Baptist Church, 275 West Market Street in Newark, New Jersey. And it was a good turnout, and we had some powerful readers. The speech we had printed out was 14 pages long, so we had 14 readers, and they all did very well. Their different interpretations of Frederick Douglass. And I'm sure that were he alive, he would be pleased. This was the first time we did this at Bethany Baptist Church. And according to the deacon who was there with us that night, they're looking forward to doing it next year. And as one person said to me, this might become an annual event. And I might add, it's something that people do all around the country. I didn't realize how widespread it was until I went online and Googled Frederick Douglass and Googled that speech. And I saw that people all over the country are having readings.
A lot of traction all over the country, and it was a healthy response, I would dare say, to the whitewashing of America at 250. Because in all of those 250 spaces, you were not getting no Fred Douglass. You were not getting no questions about hypocrisy and contradictions of slavery. You were not dealing with none of the native, none of that. You was getting hot dogs, baseball, bands, and white folks, and a whole lot of red, white, and blues. I gotta say that. Right.
Well, you said right. You said the truth. And don't forget parades. They have parades on the 4th of July.
We reclaimed our legacy in the fight for democracy, because it wouldn't have existed in the conversation otherwise. Erasure is very much the order of the day in colonial enterprises and in white supremacy. And America is the big mama of all that right now. So it was profound to see the resonance of Frederick Douglass. I think he would be proud of the resonance that his words were receiving all over the country. And gatherings like ours remind us of how we used to years ago claim the Emancipation Proclamation. So I just wanted to just jump that in. Now go ahead and tie that into where we're going and why that matters to us now.
Right. Well, fundamentally, based on what Frederick Douglass wrote in 1852, he was describing the conditions of enslaved people in North America. And if people haven't read that speech, I really would urge people to read it. The title of the speech is "What to the Slave is the 4th of July." Frederick Douglass gave that speech on July 5th 1852 before the Rochester Ladies Anti-Slavery Society. And when you read that speech, I think it will deepen your appreciation of Frederick Douglass. And by the way, our brother Zaid Muhammad was one of the readers. And Bill Davis gave us a very detailed libations from generation to generation. So he also made a very meaningful, excuse me, a very meaningful contribution. But Frederick Douglass did not have any formal education. I don't think he was in anybody's school. But when you read his works, he clearly is one of the great writers of the 19th century. As a matter of fact, I used to own the collected works of Frederick Douglass.
Me too. Which
was 5 volumes, edited, I believe, by Philip Foner.
Right.
But you don't have to have the 5 volumes of Fred. You can get that speech online, you know, and I would urge everybody to read the speech. So what we're preparing for on Sunday, July 12th, is the 59th anniversary of the 1967 Newark Rebellion. We call it a rebellion. We don't call it a riot. A riot is a spontaneous eruption, can be over almost anything, like a soccer game, as you can see. But a rebellion is a collective response to ongoing oppression. In fact, one might argue that the rebellions of the 1960s were the 20th century slave rebellions, mirroring those rebellions of the 19th century. So in that speech, excuse me, in that speech, Frederick Douglass was talking about the conditions of our people, and essentially the system, the slave system of white superordination and black subordination. And that same paradigm, although we've seen the abolition of chattel slavery, however, that paradigm of white superordination and black subordination exists today. And so many of the readers, and even people that weren't readers that night, but who had read the speech, were saying to me, and probably to you too, Zaid, that the speech sounded so relevant to today.
Absolutely.
And I believe that is true. So on Sunday, July 12th, it's the anniversary of the Newark Uprising. We're going to be having our annual commemoration. The People's Organization for Progress was founded in 1982. And since the organization was established, we've always commemorated the 1967 uprising, because we see it as the seminal political event in New Jersey, maybe even one of the seminal events in the nation, you know, in the 1960s. Just to give an example of what I'm talking about, Ken Gibson ran for mayor of Newark in 1966, but he didn't win in 1966. There was an uprising in 1967, and yes, there was a great deal of material destruction, but there was also social transformation.
Yes, sir.
And political consciousness construction. And so we see Gibson come back running in 1969 and in 1970, getting elected in 1970. I believe that had it not been for the uprising in 1967, that Gibson may not have been elected in 1970. And my evidence for that is that Hugh Adonisio, who was the mayor that Gibson was trying to unseat, was under federal indictment for corruption. He was under indictment, and even under
Freeze what that means. Is he all right, or does that mean?
That the Black liberation movement had on people, that's the margin of difference, brought about that victory in 1970. Gibson was sworn in on February 1st, 1970. So when we gather on Sunday, we're going to look at the past, examine what caused the rebellion, look at the present to see if any of those conditions still exist, and then look toward the future to see how we should conduct our struggle in the 21st century.
Let's include the where and the when.
Thank you. The most important thing, the coordinates, right?
Yes, sir.
It is going to take place on Sunday, July 12th, 2:00 p.m. at the Rebellion Monument, which is 250 Springfield Avenue in Newark, New Jersey. And we want everybody to come out, especially those who were in Newark in 1967 and who would like to share their stories about what happened to them or what happened to you when you were in Newark in 1967. So again, that's Sunday, July 12th, 2:00 p.m. at the Rebellion Monument, 250 Springfield Avenue. It's a little tiny, one of those tiny triangle parks between Irvin Turner Boulevard and Hayes Street. And those that know Springfield Avenue, you know the landmark would be the Social Security office there on Springfield Avenue. It's right next to that Social Security office. So come on out and join us.
Let me say a few things on that, and we bring Bill Davis into this conversation because Bill is working hard in Plainfield. Plainfield's uprising started on the 14th of July, right? And I'm gonna come back to it in a second, but I want to put a pin in the fact that we're marching to what was the first precinct, which is now the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery. Wow. And the Brick City Peace Collective, a space that has been transformed from having been a den of torture to a space of healing and organization, right? And it's been a key institutional factor that has driven down violent crime in this town to historic lows, right? So I want to put a pin in that. We got some cases. You know, you mentioned the press conference from July 1st. We got a fresh case in Wally Bay. We got a Nasheed Reynolds that cop he got to go. Bad cop, bad history, bad everything. He got to go, right? Carl Dorsey, we still have no justice for the officer that killed Carl Dorsey. Similar profile, got to go. So even though we've gone through a consent decree and have done and worked hard to try to improve that relationship between the police and the community, there's a whole lot of work that still needs to be done and some justice to be had. So I wanted to just put a pin in that as we get ready for that. We should also lift up a demon, just very briefly, that underneath the blood and ashes of the 67 uprising was the National Black Power Conference that also took place in Newark just a few days later. Mary still had the bandages fresh on his head from when he was brutalized and had his head split open. But that happened, and that was catalytic in terms of the organizing, the radical organizing that took place in the aftermath of these uprisings that would lead to the political transformation of the political landscape with our new access to the ballot that would enable us to put a Ken Gibson in City Hall and in other city halls and in other state legislators and have an emergence of a congressional Black caucus. All of that came out of that explosion of activity and protests and uprising that we all need to proudly claim. Now, having said that, question of voting rights is the order, as one of the orders of the day in terms of our shared priorities, right? And on the 18th of July, and you've got several others, and then you jump in and fill in the blanks because I think we've got 4 voting rights conversations that are taking place between now and the beginning of August, right? The first of those will be in Plainfield, New Jersey, under the leadership of Bill Davis. Bill, jump in. Jump in. Again, just conversation. Take it where you needed to go and lift up what's going to happen in Plainfield.
Absolutely. And so I want to commend our chairman, Brother Dimu, and Brother Zaid. Your supplemental information is always really on point. I was at the rebellion in Plainfield in '67 when it happened. That was a catalyst for me being on the path that I'm on. And so it's instructive that the event next week will be several days after the
Yes,
rebellion
sir.
took place in
Yes,
Plainfield.
sir.
In fact, and I saw two things happen for me in the rebellion in '67. One was I saw where the people who had guns, and so they would set the buildings on fire when the fire department come in, were trying to kill the firemen. And then a day or two later, I saw the tanks leaving from the armory going down to where the rebellion was taking place, trying to find the people that had the guns. In fact, the Plains was one of the few places that had a rebellion that actually people were armed. And these went door to door, kicking in people's doors, trying to find the weapons that people had to defend themselves. And so I am grateful for the fact that we're going to have this conversation next Saturday, July 18th, 12 to 2 at the Plainfield Public Library on Park Avenue. The current mayor of Plainfield has tentatively agreed to participate. Our chairman, Adema, is going to be there. Asada Man from the Institute for Social Justice is going to be there. We have extended an invitation to the Democratic representative, or the Democratic nominee for Congress, Dr. Hmwawe, if I'm saying his name correctly. And so we're looking forward. I mean, he has a very good position on Gaza and Palestine. In fact, served as in a medical capacity during the time when this genocide was taking place. And
Yes.
so we're anxious to hear if he's going to bring that same kind of energy to try to figure out how to stop some of the atrocious attacks that are taking place between the Supreme Court and these MAGA Muppets that are sadly running both houses and the government right now. And so given the fact that Everett Lattimore, ironically, was my track coach and I was running track and playing field, he became one of the first black mayors in the town.
It's
There's
a
been a
family
long,
name. It's a big family name in Plainfield.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. And so if you think about it, from the time that Everett Lattimore got elected until now, there have been black mayors in Plainfield. And so when you look at the behavior of the police violence that took place during that time has been drastically reduced in Plainfield. And so having political leadership that is committed to making sure that the community is well served and to bring down the violence of the police, this is very instructive to me for, I know that Raz has done a lot to try to bring down the police violence in Newark. Some of the cops who resist Raz's leadership, abuse people and then say this is for your mayor. And so there are instances in which, even when you have political leadership that's on point, trying to get to the lumpen proletariat, people who are on the force, to honor what it is that the leadership is attempting to do is a struggle that we still face. And so they're really, I'm grateful for the anti-violence coalition in Newark. I think that they've done some phenomenal work. There should be an anti-violence coalition throughout all these different towns that we're in when we have our folks battling against each other, because it's in our interest to reduce those kind of issues. But at the forum next week, we want to talk about the the election that just took place for Bonnie Watson Coleman's seat. There were four black elected officials running, which opened up the door for someone to win other than a black elected official. Bonnie was the first black person to serve in that capacity. And I don't have any negative things to say about our brother, but since it had been a black seat, we were designed for it to remain a black seat. But the four black electors could never get on the same page about
Wouldn't you
how
not?
who should run,
Yes,
right?
sir.
And so that is one of the points of topic that we need to discuss for going forward in the future. If there is going to be a seat that multiple people are interested in running in, can we find a way, in the spirit of Umoja and the principle of Kwanzaa, of unity, can we find a way to unite so that we don't have to see someone else? Because sadly, the person that came in second was Cohen, the mayor of East Brunswick, who was a staunch supporter of Israel. And so we almost had a Zionist supporter into the seat. And
And that
so,
would that would have been a loss. That would have been a big loss.
absolutely. And Hawaii had $1 million raised by a fund to counteract the APAC money. And so there's many different dimensions of this conversation that we need to really be paying attention to. But I'm hoping that there will be a whole lot of people that will attend. We're going to have a spirited discussion, and we will look forward to people raising some of the contradictions that need to be addressed. And what is our path forward? I mean, so there's a Black Voters Matter, which is one of the grassroots organizations that's doing a lot of work in the Confederacy. And so, how can we support organizations like that are doing the kind of work that needs to be done? They have this bus that rides all over to make sure that that they can register people, getting people to the polls, all of the things that they've done in the Confederacy. Like people standing in line in Georgia, you can't even give somebody water or you'd be charged with a crime. So there are some serious efforts being made to undermine the work that folks have done in the Confederacy. And while we are, as Malcolm says, south of the Canadian border, fortunately, the Mikey Sherrill regime has actually passed the John Lewis Voting Rights Bill. And the John Lewis, this forum is taking place in the spirit of John Lewis. And so we are excited about the fact that we want to make some good trouble right here.
In fact, the 17th is the anniversary of John Lewis's transition, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
How
Yes, it
about
is.
how about it? It
Yes.
is also the anniversary of the transition of John Coltrane.
Wow.
This year is the centennial of John Coltrane, and I'll have more to say about that in weeks moving forward because we're going to be doing some things in Newark and in New York to uplift his centennial. Right?
So-
Mr. Davis, didn't y'all used to have a group in Plainfield that kind of vetted candidates before they, as a group, didn't y'all have a group that kind of vetted candidates?
There may have been.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with that particular group, but there may
Okay.
have been. I know the Frontiersmen in Plainfield were doing a lot of work on different kind of circumstances, and so that could have been part of what was taking place in Plainfield. And so, to Zaid's point, though, when we talk about our brother Coltrane, we need to have a love supreme right now.
Mhm. Bill, this is a teaching platform. And one of the contradictions that you alluded to, I want you to expand on a little bit. For folks, folks don't know who don't know what an APAC is. Just break it down very briefly and in plain language what that is and how does it present itself as a contradiction for the Black community and its struggle to forge a united front on the ballot question.
And so, the Zionists have an enormous amount of control over all politicians and some Democrats in particular. And so we think about Cori Bush, who was elected in Missouri. If you think
Buffalo
about
Buffalo.
our brother Bowman out of New York, right? Both of
Bowman.
whom were black, right? Both of who were black Democratic Congress people who were serving, who were opposed to the United States, continued to send his billions of dollars to Israel to support the genocide that's taken place since 1947 when they went in and displaced all the Palestinian people. And so AIPAC raises money. They have donated billions of dollars to candidates to advocate for policies that are in favor of Israel and to displace the Palestinians. And so the fact that we don't know, all of the candidates in this congressional race said that they weren't taking AIPAC money, with the possible exception of Cohen. But the fact that Hamawi, and I really try to get his name correct, there was a Muslim pact that raised $1 million to support his campaign. He was the only one that Bernie Sanders and some of the progressive Democrats came out nationally to support. And so at the forum, we need to ask, why do some of the other candidates not have a clear position on Israel? And with the AIPAC money, were they receiving AIPAC money? And are they opposed to Democrats continuing to take AIPAC money? And so, in fact, we look at Zoran Mandani, he's been real clear about opposing AIPAC money. And so there are a wave of progressive Democrats that are now, coming to the forefront that have been really clear about the genocide in Gaza and opposing and not taking any AIPAC money. And so I hope that we will have a very spirited discussion on this next Saturday, because going forward, if we're going to have Democrats and, for people who support Hakeem Jeffries, then he's one of the Democrats that does get a lot of AIPAC money. And so while he's black, may have some progressive positions on some things, but sadly may still be, in the pocket of, pardon the pun, of AIPAC. There's some serious conversations that we need to raise.
In the language of Chuck D, this is a hip hop political talk show. You just answered the question: who stole the soul? Table. What Bill is doing on the 18th is the second of several conversations that the People's Organization for Progress is doing around voting rights. The first started in Montclair several weeks ago, and you're having a part 2 of that in Montclair. You're having one in Maplewood, and you're also having one in Hackensack. Am I right? Right. I have to make sure I got all. I want to make sure I got them all. Right. Amplify those dates and how to. What do we have to look forward to with those?
Yes, the first one we had on the topic, the attack on voting rights and the war on Black people. That was held at St. Paul's Baptist Church in Montclair. And the turnout was so good and the speakers were so many that we had to make a part 2, because the object was, of course, was to get the information from our speakers, but we wanted to have enough time for discussion with the audience. That didn't happen in part 1, so we had a part 2 on June 26th, and it was all audience participation. There were no guest speakers as such. The next forum will be next Saturday, July 18th, 12 noon at the Plainfield Public Library, 800 Park Avenue in Plainfield, New Jersey. And we want everybody to come out, especially the people from Plainfield. We want them there, but even if you don't live in Plainfield, we want people to come out. And again, the same topic is going to be discussed at all these forums: the attack on voting rights and the war on Black people. The next forum after Plainfield will be July 29th at St. James AME Church in Newark, New Jersey. That will be 7 p.m. on July 29th. I believe St. James is at 588 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Newark.
Did he get it right, Donna? That's Donna's church.
That is correct.
Is it right?
That is correct.
All right. And the next forum after that will be in Maplewood. It will be at the Maplewood Public Library in Maplewood on Monday, August 3rd at 7 p.m. And then following that, we have a forum scheduled for Mount Olive Baptist Church on Central Avenue in Hackensack, New Jersey. That will be on Thursday, August 6th. And so far, the last one we have scheduled will be on September 11th, 9/11. The attack on voting rights and the war on Black people will be at New Baptist Church in East Orange, New Jersey. It's on Prospect Street. And as we get closer to those dates, we can give more detailed coordinates so everybody can be there. So as you can see, this thing is rolling. It's almost taking on a life of its own. And we will go to any part of the state where people want to have this conversation. If there are people watching this show and you want to do one of these forums in your town at a church, even if it's in a town we've already been in, like Newark is a big city. We can have more than one in Newark. We need to have one in Trenton. We need to have one in Camden. We need one in Atlantic City. We need one down there in Whitesboro. We need to go all over the state where Black people are and have this conversation.
That's right.
And we need to have this conversation. So,
yes, sir.
So folks can call 973-801-0001, 973-801-0001 if you're interested in having a forum in your town and it doesn't have to be a church. We've been lucky because the churches have been opening their doors to us. But if you have a space, a community center, BFW hall, banquet hall, wherever, if you have a space that can accommodate, 100 to 200 people, let's do it. Let's make it happen all over New Jersey.
Now, as we wind down, I want you to come back to August 6th. It's just a historic date. And there's also a call of action that is being preliminarily planned on that date. We probably should lift that up. And even if it's just modest in detail, we should lift that up because of what's coming and why it's important. You want to lift that up?
You want me to talk about August 6th?
Yes, sir.
Well, August 6th is a very historic date. It is the anniversary of the signing of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The Voting Rights Act was ratified by Congress and signed into law by President Lyndon Johnson on August 6, 1965. It is one of the premier accomplishments of the civil rights movement. And for the last 30 years or so, it has been savaged by the Supreme Court. One could even argue in a Frederick Douglass type way that the ink wasn't even dry on the paper before they started trying to overturn the Voting Rights Act. And Ed, this is one of the things a lot of people say, well, history is not that important. But we keep coming back to history, right? I mean, the Supreme Court just did a ruling related to the 14th Amendment.
Yep.
The 14th Amendment is almost 160 years old. Why are we talking about that? Because the 14th Amendment has to do with birthright citizenship. We were the first ones that had to deal with this issue of birthright citizenship because, they were saying Justice Taney had just ruled in the Dred Scott decision, which I believe was in 1857, that we weren't citizens. But there was a civil war.
Had no rights that the white man was bound.
That's right. That's what Taney said. He said, Black people have no rights that white people are bound to respect. So the three amendments that came out of the Civil War were the 13th Amendment, which abolished chattel slavery, except for those convicted of a crime. The 14th Amendment, which gave us citizenship by virtue of birthright, by the virtue of the fact that we were born in this country. And the 15th Amendment gave Black men the right to vote. Women did not get that as a federal right until the passage of the 19th Amendment in the beginning of the 20th century. So history just keeps, revolving around us, like a hurricane. And I believe that it is the intent of the Trump administration. People think that this birthright citizenship is just an issue for undocumented people. No, I firmly believe that when they finish or when they do as much as they think they have to do with undocumented folks and our immigrant brothers and sisters, they are going to come for us.
Next.
Remember that at different points in American history, the answer to the race question, deportation. They formed the American Colonization Society. I mean, Lincoln's original plan,
get rid of all of us.
He might have got a little religion there just before they assassinated him, but Lincoln's original plan after emancipation was to deport us to Saint Domingue.
That's right.
Which is the island and the Dominican Republic are on. Remember, Liberia was established by the American Colonization Society. So yes, they wanted to abolish slavery, but some of them wanted to get us out of the United States. So there have been different points in American history where they sought to, in fact, deport us. And I believe that they will eventually, all of this is about challenging our citizenship. Because what Trump is trying to do is establish a white nation. He's trying to establish an apartheid state. That's why he's always prattling about the white South Africans and the white genocide in South Africa. There's no white genocide in South Africa. But, you know, this is what's in the forefront of his mind. I mean, he says openly, we don't want any more refugees, any more immigrants from nations from shithole countries, as he called them. That's his words, not mine. He said, we want immigrants from Norway and Sweden and Denmark. That's the Aryan race theory, like right in our face. You know, how many years after World War II? Almost 75 years after World War II. So this thing is very serious. I mean, I can't, and I know we're running out of time, and I'm not even going to try to broach the subject, but I'll just say this. Most people do not understand what a grave situation faces Black people in this country right now. It is grave. Yeah. And that's why we're having these forums and having these discussions. Look, 600 white nationalists, fascists, marched in Washington, D.C. this weekend, reminiscent of when the Klan marched on the White House, cheered on by Woodrow Wilson in the beginning of the 20th century. You know, the situation is very grave. And I think people are waking up. I'm not even going to say people need to wake up. Yes, some people are, but people are waking up. When you speak to people, I mean, I think that's why we got such a good response when we had the first forum at St. Paul's Church, because a lot of people are feeling the burden of oppression and the burden of racism and fascism.
Mm-hmm.
So Zai, one quick point I want to just emphasize that Larry's just making. And that is that Brett Kavanaugh, in his Supreme Court literature, stated how to go back and change what has to be done in order for birthright citizenship to be overturned. And so we definitely need to be paying close attention, because if we're not, so we need to become, and we just passed the anniversary of the Soweto uprising. We need to become ungovernable.
16.
And so the sooner that we realize that it's up to us to be the catalyst, to be the spark, to be the point of the spear that's going to help to change this, the easiest it's going to be for it to happen. But we have always been the ones to try to make America, as Langston Hughes said, let America be what it's never been to me. That's exactly what we need to do right now.
And I think immediately after that, Mike Johnson proposed or started talking about making amendments after the decision came out, right?
Yes.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yes. They want to amend the Constitution. They want to amend the Constitution to overrule the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. And that's what Bill was talking about. The Supreme Court members, the majority that ruled, signaled to Congress to say, y'all need to take action on this. And it's devilish. I mean, there's no other description. I think everybody needs to go online and find, what's the sister's name? Ketanji Brown Jackson, the Supreme Court.
100%.
Is that her?
Yes.
Yes. Go online and read her dissent in the Louisiana versus Calais case. People are saying it's brilliant, and it's a refutation of all the arguments that were made by the majority. Now, They didn't overturn birthright citizenship, but they made the attempt. And remember, Ed, you're an observer of the courts, a legal mind. People talk about we won on the birthright citizenship case by one vote. One vote. It only takes one vote to go in another direction. So we may have had a temporary victory on birthright citizenship, but they're saying, you know, to the Congress, y'all need to take action. Then there's another thing people need to be aware of, and that's the move to call a constitutional convention. They want to rewrite the entire Constitution of the United States. And what they need, I think they need I think they need a 2/3 majority of the states, which would be about 36 states, to state legislatures to vote in favor. And if they do that, they can reconstitute the whole government. You know, people say, well, what does this mean to me? Well, what does this mean to your son and daughter? Already, Black enrollment on college and university campuses across the country have declined as a result of the Supreme Court decision on higher education. They just did another ruling, was it this week or last week, on money in elections. Now, the political parties and the what do they call them? What are those things? Super PACs.
Yeah.
They can coordinate now. Before there had to be a wall between them. Now they can coordinate. Money, the role of money is becoming more and more prominent in our elections, and it's being made so by the rule of the Supreme Court and the rule of Congress under this right-wing regime that we're in.
Did you want to say?
It's very serious, brothers and sisters. It's so serious.
Did you want to say anything about the upcoming action on August 6th in Trenton, or is it too early to talk about that?
On who?
August 6th, the Trenton action.
Yeah, well, I will put it out because we need to get people ready. A call has been made by Mayor Baraka and others for a march on Trenton on August the 6th. I was in a meeting with a number of leaders, the mayor, Congresswoman MacGyver, and others, and the call is out for a major mobilization on Trenton on August 6th, on the anniversary of the Voting Rights Act, to draw attention to this dire situation. So people should keep their ears to the ground for updates on this. Because I don't have any more information than that at this moment.
It's early in the stage, but we wanted to put it in the atmosphere. Donna, you want to take it out with the ritual question?
So as you're doing the work that you do, Chairman and Mr. Davis, what hip hop artist or individual or who are you listening to these days?
Go ahead, Bill.
Or are you guys both on your way to Yankee Stadium to see Jay-Z?
No.
Then we'll get ready to do another show.
Bill? Who's your favorite hip hop artist? I have a suggestion.
You're the only one I could hear.
Oh, well, no.
Oh, wow.
She was asking you the ritual question. Are you listening? And when it comes to hip hop, is there anybody, is there any hip hop group or artist that you listen to in the process of getting yourself right to do this work?
It would have to be the classic Public Enemy, right? Fight the Power.
Right on.
I don't know that there's a current hip hop group that I would say, but whenever we have rallies, we have Fight the Power should be certainly one of the
right.
rallying songs that we play. But
Yes.
right now, I mean, I know that Kendrick, and I don't know if I know Kendrick's other than We Gonna Be All Right. That's the only one I think I know by him that would be appropriate for this situation. But we do need some more. In fact, that's a question I think we need to ask.
Yes,
Are
sir.
there, where is the protest songs that we need right now? Right? Where are the artists? Where's the Nina Simone of this current moment? Those are the questions that I think we need to pose. I know we have a few poets, but I don't know if we have anybody on the national stage that's really raising that kind of question
Yes,
or
sir.
providing that kind of art.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
I would like to throw in, everybody take a listen to the Bicentennial Blues by Gil Scott-Heron.
Yes, sir.
The Bicentennial Blues. I think it's pretty relevant since we are celebrating this.
Forgotten
They go the
classic.
Sequicentennial. Is that how you
Which
say
one?
it? The Sequi 250 years. And I had never heard this. I had never heard the Bicentennial Blues till I was
forgot all
listening
about it.
to another show.
All about it.
Zay, repeat that for Bill Davis. Larry, Chairman, I got introduced to it by Wilmer Leon.
That's right. You heard it too, right? That's where I heard it on Wilmer Leon's show.
People
Yep.
looked it up, the Bicentennial Blues by Gil Scott-Heron. It's something I had forgotten about.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's definitely a classic.
Yeah, be lifted back up.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Good call, Ademo. Good call.
Don't get me started, because I think another cut people might want to listen to is The Klan by Gil Scott-Heron.
Yes.
If you hadn't heard that one,
Oh, yeah.
it's something.
Oh, yeah.
It's something.
That's all the young heads. That's us old heads. We got it. But the young heads definitely need to sample on some of that. Hell yeah.
I know on Saturdays, Wilmer Leon definitely be teaching on some music. So, yeah.
hey, Larry, before you leave, I was wondering if we could just talk a little bit about why is it important for our community to participate in these forums? Why is that important?
Can somebody say what Ed said? Because I couldn't hear.
Chairman, Zay, can you ask Bill mute his phone?
Yeah, because he can't hear you. Bill can only hear me.
Right. You know what I can hear, bro.
Because the demo can't hear you.
What did Ed say?
Okay.
Ed was asked. Re-ask your question, Ed.
So the question I'm asking, Larry, can you tell? Let's just share with the community. Why is it important for us, one, to have these forums, and then two, why is it important?
If you're talking, I can't hear you now either.
Zay, ask Bill mute his phone.
Donna, just tell me what Ed said, because I can hear you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't hear Ed, and I can barely hear Zaid. What did Ed say? Donna?
Ed, you were saying the importance of, I'm sorry, because
why is it important, one, to have these forums, and then two, why is it important for the community to come out?
There we go.
Why is it important to have the forums?
Yes.
And
And why is it important for the community to come out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, the forum, it's important on several levels. One, I think people at a very visceral level are responding because they feel it is like a clarion call. I mean, not everybody is saying that there's a war on Black people, but a lot of people feel like it's a war on Black people, and they see the forum as like a clarion call to action. But I think once people get there, and this is something that we have to work on for these forums, they're thirsting for a message that will help them to have clarity on the current situation that we face and give them some direction for action that needs to be taken. So I think that's one reason why the forums are important. And then it's important for people to come out, because by coming out, that's the doorway for people to step through to get involved. I mean, coming out is one thing, getting involved is another thing. So we want people to come out so that we can get them involved in this struggle. I mean, if somebody says to you, there's a war on you, or there's a war on your country, what's your first response? Your response is, we got to defend ourselves.
Damn right.
We got to defend ourselves. And the question becomes, well, how do we defend ourselves? Well, we got to have an army. If you're a country and I'm making war on you, you better have an army or we're going to overrun you. So we got to put together an army. You know, another perhaps a mass version of a Black Liberation Army, you know, that can in various different ways defend us. We have to be defended on every level, you know, on the political level, on the economic level, on the social level, on the criminal justice level, and on and on and on. We have to have a multi-faceted defense. We have to defend ourselves against these attacks. I mean, for instance, let me ask the audience, what will you do if the white nationalists decide to march in your town? I mean, there needs to be a discussion about that. I'm not going to try and answer the question, and I'm not asking it rhetorically. I'm asking it because I want people to think about, oh shit, what if these, what do they call themselves? The Patriotic Front. Mm-hmm. See, don't let the name deceive you. These people are neo-Nazis. You know, they try to use the word patriotism to make you think that somehow, you know, they love the country. They don't love the country. They hate the current constitution of the country, and they want to reconstitute the country as a country for white people.
Now listen,
and that's what Donald Trump is doing, step by step. You know, he's literally taking everything and turning it on its head. Now, the Civil Rights Office is no longer about trying to defend the civil rights of oppressed Black people. Now, the Civil Rights Office new mission is to defend white people who feel they are discriminated against. I don't think there are any Black people in America that have the power to discriminate against white people. You know, do you have to go to any Black people to get a loan? Do you have to go to any Black people to get a job? Do you have to go to any Black people to get a mortgage? You know, are Black people suppressing your wages? You can't make a living. Is it Black people that's keeping you from making a living wage? You know?
Can you remember? This is the 80s now, when the Klan put in for a permit.
Oh, I remember.
March downtown Newark.
To march down Broad Street.
Right, you remember that?
Oh, I really remember because I was there.
When Mr. Gibson was going to okay that, we went nuts. And I think that was the gateway for an emergence for somebody to ultimately beat him like Sharp James ultimately beat him. So that hypothetical that you asked has local dimensions. This is all politics. That's right. That we need to appreciate.
That's absolutely right. These people are serious. They're ready to get in our face, you know. And the reason the Klan didn't march in Newark, because there was such an outcry from the community, and people went downtown and stood on the steps of City Hall to wait for the Klan to show up.
That's right.
So I asked that question with the utmost seriousness. What will you do if the Patriotic Front or one of these white supremacist organizations decide that they're going to march in your town? Like, they really feeling themselves. Now, they could march in the nation's capital. Nothing happened to them. They could march around carrying the Confederate flag. Nothing happened to them. They would say, okay, we're going to go in the Black city now. And they've tried it. I'm not making stuff up. These are not hypotheticals. There are Black towns that they went to where the Black people got on the bridge with guns,
Cincinnati,
with rifles, and dared them to cross that bridge.
That was Cincinnati.
And they didn't cross the bridge. Now, I'm not advocating violence. I'm just giving you the facts on what has happened. I'm not talking hypotheticals here. I mean, just think about it. David Duke won the Republican primary for governor.
A Klansman.
He's a Klansman.
So Larry,
Mhm.
that let me ask you a question right on that. What you just said is I'm not advocating violence, but it seems like they are advocating violence,
Yes.
right? So
Not only are they advocating violence, they
yeah,
are carrying out violence against Black people.
right. So
Today, the
we
greatest victims of
so
racially motivated violence in America
right.
are Black people.
So we
We're
are
still number one on the list. You don't hear it because there's a lot of talk now about anti-Semitism and other kinds, and anti-Semitism is real. It's a real thing. But when you look at all the reports, the greatest victims of violence in this country are Black people, and the greatest perpetrators of violence are these white supremacist terrorist organizations. I mean, look, they tried to overturn the government. This was not play. Ask them cops who were being stomped on and literally tortured by the January 6ers. Ask them if this was play.
Yeah,
Ask some cops that lost fingers.
Their forces on that day too.
They tried to violently overturn the government of the United States. And I'm telling you, why do you think there's no gun control in America? There's no gun control because white people want to stockpile weapons for what they believe will be some kind of impending race war.
That's right.
This is so serious, y'all. Why do you think they give immunity to ICE agents? Do you know that they have not arrested or charged those ICE agents that killed Alex P. and Renee Good? They haven't even been arrested because they want to exercise the power to kill us with impunity. That's why the Supreme Court, for a second time, not a first time, the second time, gave Trump expanded hours of immunity while he sits in office. It's so serious. I wish there was some way I could just I could make a film or something to show people how serious this is. You know, 600,000 Black people lost their jobs in less than 18 months. 350,000 of were Black people, were Black women, because of Trump's shutdown. See, people think DEI, oh, that's just a policy. Affirmative action is just a policy. When they ended affirmative action and they ended DEI, hundreds of thousands of Black people lost their economic wherewithal. They lost their jobs. 350,000 Black women, and there wasn't hardly a peep. It wasn't a secret. It was in the news. You know, all of us walking around here talking about we got to defend our Black queens. Where was the outcry when the Black queens lost their jobs? Where was the outcry? They're saying now that maybe as many as 2 million children will die of starvation as a result of the Doge cuts. When Musk went into the office of the Department of U.S. Aid, shut down aid to Africa and other countries, and now millions of children are starving and dying. These policies have consequences. They just did another ruling on gun control, but I can't see it clearly in my mind at the moment. But this is a very, if you think Trump, anyone who thinks these people are going to really give up power in 2028, I think are mistaken. Now, there's a possibility, there's a possibility we could have the election and, there'll be some pushback, but, the new president might be able to take office, but I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
But one of the things we have to is overwhelmed. We definitely can't be voting at 30%. We have to vote.
No.
we must vote because our lives
numbers like we voted for Obama. That's how we have to vote. Yeah. And then some. That's how we have to vote this year in the midterms and then in 28. But what happens after 28? See, Trump is a manifestation. Trump is the tippy top of the pyramid of white supremacy in this country. If you just take off, if you know how pyramids are built, there's a keystone at the top of the pyramid. And if you go in some museums, you can actually see the keystone because they took the keystones off the top of the pyramids and they brought them to Britain and to France and to the United States. But Trump is like that. He's that keystone at the top. You could take him out, but the Trump policies will still be in effect. So we got to talk about, yes, we must vote in the midterms this year, 2026. We must vote. 2027 is just as important. Controlling the state legislatures is just as important. Look what happened in New Jersey. They just passed the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, signed into law to give us some protection against what Trump is trying to do, in terms of voting rights. So it's important to control state legislatures too. If we had a predominantly Republican legislature, that bill would not have passed. It barely passed with the Democrats in power. But so 27 is important and 28 is important, but that's only 36 months. We have to have a long-term vision that goes beyond 36 months. We have to talk about how we're going to change this thing. Like if somebody takes your car, Ed, what do? You go into court to get your car back, right? If you know who took it, somebody takes something from you, you go try and get it back. I mean, are we going to try to fight to get back DEI? Are we going to try and fight to get back affirmative act? I mean, we just going to let it slide? Are we going to try and fight to get them 600,000 people their jobs back? Or we just going to let it slide? We got to look beyond and see that's the presto changeo of electoral politics. People believe just because we get Trump out that we can dance and sing, but the question is going to be, what are the policies? Are we going to elect Democrats who are not just going to come into office and just move forward? Or are we going to elect Democrats who are in fact going to try and get back what was taken from us, who are going to try to correct what Trump did and then try to move us to a better place? The minimum wage in this country hasn't been raised in 13 years. It has stayed $7.25 under Democrats, and it has stayed $7.25 under Republicans. What are we going to do after 2028? $7.25 an hour is slavery. That's slavery. All that does is get you enough money to buy your uniform and go back to McDonald's or the Burger King or wherever else they pay $7.25. They can't get away with that bullshit in other countries. In Denmark, what a McDonald's worker makes in Denmark? They make $21 an hour.
I was going to say, I seen a report one time where they were, when Bernie Sanders was proposing minimum wage upgrade across, and there was a response like, yeah, I agree, but how do y'all live off of a minimum? Most places have a living wage.
Right. They don't even have a minimum in other countries. They have, what is the life wage, the living wage, the wage you need to make a life. Right. It's awful, but this is why we have to build a movement to demand certain things, not just changing. Yes, I'm first in line to want to get rid of Trump. Y'all know I was marching against Trump in 2016, People's Organization for Progress. Trump must go. So yes, I'm for getting rid of Trump. And yes, if it takes us electing a Democrat to do that, then yes, we'll do it. But once that happens, what are we going to do to actually change the lives of our people? Are we going to elect another Democrat who's going to say, no, we got to slow down now. We got rid of Trump. Now let's just slow down and get the country back in order, get people being nice to one another again. No, that's not what we want. That's not why we're getting rid of Trump. We're getting rid of Trump because he's an obstacle to the social and economic justice agenda that we have.
And
do you know what they're talking about right now? They're talking about adding interest to medical bills.
Right. Stuff like
already without interest. The biggest cause of bankruptcy in the United States of America is medical bankruptcy. But they wanted, as one commentator said, I'll acknowledge I'm stealing somebody's line. They want to establish a 9th level of hell. 7 levels of hell is not enough. We're going to make a 9th level of hell. And we're going to now add interest to medical bills.
And Chairman, it's like you said, it's not enough. We got to stop what they're putting in process. You're talking about Social Security being not possibly being here. All of these things that they have kind of are starting the process, if you will. Removing him may not even start some of these processes that are in place. So you're going to have to have, and they're already tainting the Americans by replacing the word socialism with communism. So they're confusing people and getting certain things in people's mind to let them, as Americans, we quite frankly enjoy socialism. We enjoy the benefits of socialism, but they're putting these thoughts in our mind that you don't want these things. But how many of us have invested in Social Security that you got people, you keep seeing these stories pop up. Somebody 70 years old is going back to work because they couldn't afford retirement, or it's horrible, and it
really is horrible. It's really horrible. And later on this fall, People's Organization for Progress, we're going to call a public forum on the issue of Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare, because the Republicans want to get rid of. Do you know if there was no Medicare, I could not have taken care of my mother, who was gravely ill and who lived the last years of her life in the White House. I didn't know nothing about. At the time that my mother fell ill and began to decline, I really didn't know much about Social Security. I knew that was 25, 30 years ahead for me. So I hadn't been thinking about Social Security. I hadn't been thinking about Medicare and Medicaid. I couldn't have told you the difference between Medicare and Medicaid. But when my mother got real sick, it all got real quick for me. And if it wasn't for Medicare and Medicaid, I couldn't have taken care of my mother. I didn't have that much. I couldn't have afforded to pay out of pocket for her to stay in a nursing home. And that's, these are the things that people are concerned about. Homeowners. I know of a person who made enough money to burn their mortgage. They paid their mortgage off and they lost their house. How did they lose their house? They couldn't afford the property taxes.
The taxes.
They couldn't afford to. Imagine that. You worked all your life. You got this beautiful home. And now you being evicted, not because you didn't pay your mortgage, but because you couldn't pay the taxes on the house.
And quite frankly, it should almost be a sin. You have these laws on New Jersey's books that has a senior freeze for seniors. But if you don't know about it, you can go 10 years out without freezing your taxes, and you don't get a do-over and get to go back for those 10 years. You've just lost 10 years of money, which could be substantial in New Jersey. Can you imagine? You know, like you're looking at, I mean, just look at Ed in Jersey City, this proposed 20% increase of taxes right now, which is a big issue. And can you imagine that's the case? You know, like you wake up one day and, like the chairman just said, you get ready to burn your mortgage, and all of a sudden you get a note for possibility of a 20% increase in taxes. How does anybody absorb something like that?
That's right. And it's going to be another major crisis, because this real estate bubble is going to break. Oh. I'm going to tell you, another bubble that's going to break is AI. That one of the things that's driving the economy right now is all the money that's going in AI, but it's a bubble. And at some point it's going to break, and it's going to be a major crisis. I mean, even if it isn't a bubble, the state of New Jersey, was it New Jersey or is another state, just declared a 10-year moratorium on AI centers because they use up so much
Governor
energy.
has just made an announcement. I don't know if it was Governor Show. She just made an announcement.
Is it Jersey?
I know she just made it. I didn't listen to it, but she did make an announcement about data centers. But as people who write policy, wouldn't you think, if you were building a data center in a community that's supposed to be so helpful, why wouldn't it come to an advantage of a community where it would cut the cost of people's energy bills, not increase it? Why would you bring anything to your community that's going to increase the cost of people? That's just
because people are sold a bill of goods. They're sold. It's like, hey, Ed, it's like, I got a bridge to sell you. You know, they come in, it's going to create these jobs. Then they build the data center, and all of a sudden the mayor has to tell the people, y'all got to conserve on water because the data center is using up too much water. By the way, your PSE&G bill is going to go up because the data center is using so much energy. You know, I mean, this is why we need a revolution in this country, because we can't sustain this way of life.
And then you get a president that comes in and says you don't have to have regulation over data centers. So
of course they don't want regulation over anything.
Right.
They don't want any. That's why they keep funding Trump, because Trump does what? He ends regulation and he gives them a tax break. With his left hand, he ends regulation. With his right hand, he gives them $1 trillion tax break. That's why we don't have no money. I mean, some of these people, single individuals, have more wealth than some whole countries. I used to watch James Bond movies, right? Ed, you remember Goldfinger and Dr. No? You know, and I used to wonder, because there was this one scene, I think it was either in Goldfinger or Dr. No, I can't remember which one, where the villain is talking to the United Nations. He's talking trash talk to the United Nations. Y'all gonna give me such and such by such and such stuff. And I'm sitting there as a kid and I'm wondering, how could somebody be so powerful that they could tell the United Nations what to do? You know? Mm-hmm. And now we have, for the first time in human history, a trillionaire. 2/3 of the countries on earth don't have a gross domestic product, don't have a GDP of $1 trillion. So when you have that much money concentrated in the hands of a single individual, that individual can buy and sell politicians at will. Peter Thiel discovered J.D. Vance and gave J.D. Vance all the money he needed for his U.S. senatorial campaign, I believe in Ohio. Mm-hmm. And that's how Vance rose to power. And read Peter Thiel's books. He doesn't even believe in democracy. He speaks openly of the need to abolish democracy. Read Palantir. You heard about that company called Palantir, right?
Yeah, and he's on his way to another country.
Palantir put out a manifesto Don't believe me? Just go online, look up Palantir Manifesto. They put out a whole manifesto on how they want America to look. And that look don't include you and I.
Mm.
And if it does include us, we're just, you know,
Afterthought.
Afterthought. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word afterthought. Yes. This
Well,
thing
we haven't.
you
we
know,
really haven't talked.
I was asked to speak to a class, to a graduating class not too long ago. And they asked me to, you know, to speak at the graduation. And now I feel bad because I don't think I said what they wanted to hear. But I could only say what I believe to be the truth. Because, you know, people are talking about the glory of AI and how AI is going to make things so much better. Do you know that all these billionaires are already building bunkers? They're building bunkers deep under the earth because they know that this technology that they have foisted upon us and that we have permitted to, in fact, take such a prominent place in society could lead to the extinction of the human race. Let me ask you this question. Why would you build a robot that could autonomously decide on whether or not it should kill a person? Like, this is a real thing going on right now. They're building these robot dogs. Haven't you seen them? Now they're arming the robot dog. The thing is so outrageous. What's that company, Ed? Begins with an A, the AI company.
The one that didn't, the one the government, company. Yeah, the one that the
sounds like autonomous. What's the name of it?
The one that left the government, yeah.
Right. It's so deep. They put out the AI call. Anthropic. Yeah. Anthropic. Anthropic said, y'all not gonna use Claude for this.
Yeah.
And then what did Pete Hegseth say? Oh, you're a threat to national security. Mm-hmm. We need Claude for national security. And if you don't give it to us, we're gonna take it from you.
Yeah.
Because they want to have autonomous robots. They want to have robots that can go and kill people. So they can say, well, we didn't give the order. I mean, why would you make a robot that could kill you? They're talking about we worried about robots the robots can only do what they're programmed to do. So why would you program a robot that could in fact kill us? I don't understand. I mean, I'm saying this rhetorically because I do understand it, but it's hard to fathom like how they think they could really make us believe that these robots, you know, are doing this totally on. No, you program them to do a certain thing. And they want to put these robot dogs on police forces. So now, you know, the cops don't have to kill us. The robot dogs can kill us. And they can decide on their own. There won't be any leash for the robot dog. See, the real dog got a leash on him, right? The real police dog. But the robot dogs don't have a leash. But all of this is really being discussed. None of this is hyperbole. None of this is exaggeration. These are all things that are currently being discussed and acted upon right now.
So Larry, so Larry, who's sounding the alarm? If all of this is a paramount concern to Black people, who's sounding the alarm to the point where people are being riled up? Because I don't see it, I don't hear it. Who's doing it?
People sound the alarm. I mean, but they just don't have the audience. I mean, remember how they told us that what was X called before it became Twitter? Remember they told us how democratic Twitter was going to be and that it would enable everybody's opinion. Well, we now know that the algorithms that Facebook uses and X uses, those algorithms are designed to push back opinions that are critical of power and people in power, and let all other foolishness in. Let all the justification, the right-wing opinions in. This is a fact. You can read it. It's not hard. And then on the other side of the equation, you have these people like Larry Ellison who are buying up all the media so that critical voices, you won't hear them on CNN. You won't hear them on ABC. You won't hear them on CBS. CBS was so bad under Barry Weiss that the key people in 60 Minutes quit. They said, we're not going to be a part of this charade. I can't say that 60 Minutes was the greatest voice for truth, but they did do some valuable journalistic work. And they wanted, to put that work to an end. That's what happened with MSNBC. That's why they got rid of Joy Reid. She was too critical.
Yep, absolutely.
Not only was she critical, she's very sarcastic and sardonic. She used to rip them a new one like every day, Well, and we called Trump out. So now she's on her own. I think she's doing well. I think she's making progress with her own podcast.
Yeah.
But it's very critical. The same people who are in power economically, they are now controlling the media. They're controlling the economy. They're controlling our politicians. That's called oligarchy. But it's right-wing control, and that's called fascism. Did you see they arrested the Olympian bike rider? He just happened to be riding through the Lincoln Mall, and he stopped to touch the water in the reflecting pool, and they dragged his behind to court. They're trying to charge him with, I don't know, is it terrorism? Some craziness they're trying to charge him with.
They're serious charges.
They're very serious charges, but they want to make it against the law to criticize them. Like, I could envision if things don't change that it may be very difficult for this show to stay on the air, because this show is very critical. I could see somebody coming after All Politics Are Local. Say, why are y'all having the communist Larry Hamm on there all the time? Talking that crazy talk. Talking about we shouldn't have trillionaires and billionaires. I mean, we laughing now.
We already got kicked out of records.
But it won't be funny when it happened, boy.
Oh, listen, we already got
I know what it's like when these people come after. Man, they came after me, and I wasn't even old enough to vote yet. They came after me in December of 1971. They tried to send me to Leavenworth for not registering to vote. I mean, not vote, not registering for the draft. And then when I was on the Board of Education, they were always trying to convict. Hey, Ed, do you know that they tried to convict me on a gun charge one time?
Oh, I didn't know that.
I went on trial.
Wow.
I was on trial. I had been investigated by a grand jury, had been charged by a grand jury, and was put on trial. And this is what I'm saying about, government helping people. Who provided my lawyer? Legal services. Because I couldn't afford a real lawyer. And a black man named Tommy Carmichael was head of, I believe it was Essex Legal Services at that time, maybe Newark Legal Services. This was back, this is like 1973.
He later helped some of us in the new Black Panther Party.
And They were trying to send me to jail, and I was on trial, and I had a lawyer. His name was Knoll, Knoll. That was his last name. I can't remember his first name. And he defended me, and he said, if y'all can't produce the weapon, you can't charge this man with gun possession. And they never could find the gun, so I never went to jail. Wow. You know, but this is what was happening to individuals back then. They want to expand this, so everybody will be forced to fall in line. You know, it's like 1984, right? That's what we're going through now. Yes. Like the real, not the alleged, the real 1984. You know, this thing is serious, man. People don't know how serious it is, you know. But anyway, I see your next guest is on. So that she may increase, I will decrease. And y'all take care. Power to the people.
All power to the people.
All right, Larry. Peace, my brother.
Take care.
All right, Zaid, you want to introduce the sister?
Yeah, well, and I'm supreme. I don't know how to temper myself because that ain't my makeup, right? But the last time she was on, I want to welcome back Ghana Imani Hylton, and I have to say full disclosure, it's my niece. And last time she was on, her and Reverend Anya Sammler Michael were a part of a local delegation from the UU Faith Action in New Jersey, who participated in that mass national mobilization of the UU Faith Network that went to Minnesota to rally around the ICE repression that was taking place in the aftermath of the killing of Renee Gooden and Alex Preddy.
That's right.
And then just recently, now, you know, you ain't got to go to Minnesota to protest ICE if you're in Jersey, because we got a lot of ICE activity in Jersey.
We do.
Delaney Hall, we got the ICE Center in Elizabeth. You know, we've got ICE action going all over the state. With the acceleration of ICE activity, people forget about that. There has been an acceleration of ICE activity, even though there has been an embarrassing beating back of them in places like Minnesota by virtue of those united strategies. You know, they're just going into people's communities and just still snatching people up.
That's right.
Snatching people up. People are being hurt, people being killed, and people being disappeared, which is tantamount to how fascism operates. Ghana was just at Delaney Hall recently with her fellow faith comrades, and this is another series of activities to continue the protests and support of those on the inside and those families trying to help and find out about their loved ones on the inside, and ultimately to get ICE the hell out of Jersey.
Yes.
To shut Delaney Hall down. That's the real objective. Folks have been coming from all over the country. Ghana, you were supposed to be joined by Charlene Walker from Faith New Jersey.
She's coming. I think she's coming.
She should be. I see that, right? I was also originally going to have on, I've been trying to get hold of this young sister named Alex Smith. Do you know who Alex Smith is?
No, I don't know Alex.
Alex is a young Filipina sister who came all the way from Minnesota and who had her flag upside down, just doing her little thing at the hall when she got run over. And it's nothing but the God of our ancestors that she was able to get up and walk away from that, right? And she went back. She survived that and went back. So folks are coming from all over to make statements of resistance and solidarity at Delaney Hall. And I was so proud of her, of you, Ghana, for what you and your crew did recently. And I know you have things coming up, so I wanted to give you space, give you a fresh, hot mic to talk about why that was important and how that went and how you want to see things going. So welcome back Sweetheart, how you doing? You all right?
I'm doing all right. I am at my chaplaincy, so I'm on break and I can't stay long. So I'm
That's all right.
hoping I'm
We
hoping
appreciate
Charlene will come and take over.
we appreciate every moment that we have with you. I totally understand. Some
Yes.
of us actually need our jobs.
Right.
And I say that self-critically without apology, right?
I
So
understand.
let's get into it.
Mm-hmm.
A few weeks ago, y'all did a beautiful procession, prayer vigil, etc. At Delaney Hall. Tell us about what brought you back and why the need to continue to keep going back. Let's talk to us.
Well, as you mentioned, we had gone to Minneapolis. And one thing about the efforts that we make that I always stress, the UU Faith Action and the UU congregation at Montclair, we're always blessed to be mixed in that number. But there are so many other partners and groups that are also trying to do these things. So we always want to, make sure people know it's not just us, even though we are in there. So when we went to Minneapolis, it was clergy, meaning rabbi, imams, anybody who could come. But of course, there was a strong contingency of UU clergy, both seminarians like myself and ordained ministers. So it was a beautiful sight to have us do
Now
a
wait a minute,
faith-led action.
hold up a second. Now I want you to break something down.
Yes, sir.
It's a teaching platform. Some of us
All
can't
right.
spell seminary, and I struggle myself with that. What's the difference between clergy and a seminary? Just so folks know what we're talking about.
Absolutely. It's very, very easy. It's just different words. It's just like somebody in law school. They're in law school, they're not a lawyer yet.
Okay.
They have to graduate law school and then they have to take the bar. Now, after they graduate law school and then take the bar, then they're a lawyer. Now, depending on how they did on their bar, now they can practice law in their state or several states, depending on how high. Seminarian means I am in college to be a minister, but I am not ordained yet. So I'm getting a master's degree in theology. A lot of schools, a lot of denominations require that their ministers have a degree. There are a few churches where you don't have to do that, but majority of places you have to go to seminary. My program is 3 years. So I'll come out of it with a master's degree in divinity. Sometimes it's religion, sometimes it's theology, but mine is religion, right? MDiv, divinity. So when I come out and I get that master's degree, I'm still not a reverend. I've got to take our test, so to speak. And then once I pass that, then I can be ordained. So once you have an ordination, now you're reverend somebody,
Thank you for that.
right? So
Yeah, I've never heard
it's
anybody
two
break
part.
that down like that. Right? And you'd be
Yes,
surprised that many
yes.
folks just don't know that. Let me ask you, then let's go into your soul for a minute, right? Who are
Yes.
your theological inspirations that made you want to do this?
I'm looking at them. What you talking about? I'm trying to be you. So I had really myself being able to be a minister. And I'll tell you very bluntly, because I'm your child, that a lot of it was patriarchy that made me feel like I could never be a minister, and some other isms that I kind of came across. You got me here? Can you see me? All right.
That's a
I
big
have
one.
to.
Yeah, no, that's a big one.
So, right. So patriarchy was a big one. And there were some other things. So I will say it as bluntly as I can. And I want to say to your viewers, of course, I know there's exceptions to every rule. So it's never all. When I was in Black church, they had a problem with patriarchy. They had a problem talking about money. and they had a problem with homophobia. And I can get down with that. Now, in white churches, it's a different problem, as you might imagine. So it took me a while going back and forth to see where I landed, but you spoke to me. But I've always been a deeply spiritual person, and I have a couple of people who I emulate. And yes, one of them is you because it's just for me um, coming at it from a different side. So many ministers have been instrumental in social justice structures, right? So there are some people that went after it in a doctor, PhD way, some people that went after it in a reverend way. Hey, Charlene. And some people who did both, right? So I'm coming at it in a pastoral way because not only do I want freedom for our people, and we're not going to be free till all of us are free, but I'm thinking about repair and accountability afterwards, right? I think that sometimes when people have this idea of defeating the enemy, they become the problem. And I don't want that. At the same time, I'm not a, oh, don't worry about it, we forgive you type of person. Accountability is important to me. There is no repair without accountability.
That's right.
But I want to be a person in the room who does so with grace and fairness. I do not want to do to them what they did to us, but accountability is important. So those two things for me go hand in hand. And I feel like I'll have the most influence on that in a pastoral setting. In a pastoral setting. So that's what made me say, you know what? I would like to do with religion the way I don't see it being done in other spaces. I want to be a different kind of reverend. So that's my goal. That's my goal. Yeah.
This is the centennial of John Coltrane,
Mm-hmm.
who many call Saint John Coltrane.
Yes.
You sounded
Very
like
spiritual man.
you sounded like Jane Coltrane, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna riff on some of that, right? As a jazz poet. Now,
Yes.
before we shift over to Charlene, just bring us back now to what y'all did at your last visit to Delaney Hall, and
Yes.
that went and why that was important, and why the need to constantly go back, to constantly re-engage, to constantly turn the volume up, to constantly be beacons of light in darkness and solidarity in the face of racism.
I will make it very simple, and Charlene is going to put a lot of context to it, and just so she knows that I'm going to jump off because I'm at work. But it's like whack-a-mole out there. They are flooding us on purpose, on purpose. As soon as we whack one area, they pop up in another area, and they will be relentless until they are defeated. Even after they're defeated, they're going to be relentless. Okay. So we have to be on top of everything, everywhere, unfortunately. And one of those places is Delaney Hall in Newark, New Jersey. It's not the only place, but it is one of those places. So there have been other activities down there. And again, I stress we're not the only people that are going down there, but we do have UU Faith Action and religious contingencies that are involved. So I went last Friday, I believe was the date. And it it was something else. Just going there, the smell, the conditions of the outside. I didn't even go inside. And we went on one of the days that was one of the hottest days, and one of the air conditioning units inside of Delaney Hall was broken.
Mm-hmm.
Which we, sent out the word so that people could write and call governors, congressmen, etc. But the conditions are just deplorable. And Reverend Anya and I went up to the gate to speak to the ICE agents who this time ignored us. There have been other times when, the actions were a little different. But what I do want to say before I get off the phone, and this is where I'm trying to come from a spiritual sense, because it hurts my heart. There was a Black man standing there, ICE
Sure.
agent,
Sure.
and I was looking him in the eye, asking him to let us in so we could see the conditions. And he was ignoring me, which I should be grateful for, because sometimes they say horrible things to or around us when we come there. But just looking at that Black man, I wanted to say, brother, do you not know what you're doing? What is going on? And I did tell him, I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray for you. But he was looking at me like he despised me. And it's so hard to see us with the ICE uniform on. It's really, really challenging. But I see so many Black and brown people, and I understand some of them, it was a money choice and all of that. But the look on their face shows compliance to the policy and procedure that's going on.
Yes.
Not just, I'm just here, let's sis, I'm just here because I needed money. We was about to get evicted. Their faces show as if they despise us. And it's very challenging. But if they look at us like that on the other side of the gate, can you imagine what the people inside of Delaney Hall are going through?
Absolutely.
The medical care they're lacking, the
Absolutely.
conditions they're in, the food they're getting with maggots in it, etc. So it's been
The
devastating.
beatings, the sexual assaults,
Absolutely.
all of that.
All of it. All of it. So I'm going to turn it over to my girl because she could tell you A through Z. She is our queen of organization. She is the one. You want to know what's popping and what's going on next? That's your girl right there. But all I can say is
You know we
when
got
she calls, when she blows the trumpet, as much as I can, I try to be there because that is some good trouble that she's trying to get us into. And I applaud her for that.
so
Thank
Charlene,
you so much.
we gotta introduce you as Milsa Davis because this is also the centennial of Miles Davis. So she playing that trumpet.
Yes.
You know, my
Yes.
mother.
Play it good, baby. Play it good.
Right? Black Moses, right?
John, I'm proud of you. I'm humbled by your remarks. You know, you make an old man
Thank you
feel
so
all
much.
goofy and stuff with all that stuff you said. Don't be do your caretaking because that's what
Yes, Unc. Yes. Let me get this degree, man. Let me get this degree.
Yes,
All
do
right.
your caretaking. Right on. I'm
Bye,
proud of you,
Queen.
baby.
Bye.
All right. Charlene, welcome back. Charlene Walker, Faith in New
Hello.
Jersey, Executive Director. And even though she's like way younger than me, but veteran in her own right, organizer, and a survivor of the state police attack. Y'all
Yep.
heard what I said. The state police attack that took place at Delaney Hall a few weeks ago. We haven't forgotten, right?
Nope.
And we're not going to forget, right? But has been a force in organizing and bringing faith forces together and united strategies of solidarity and resistance. Welcome back, daughter. How are you?
First and foremost, thank you so much for having me. What up, all of my family out there, especially all my fellow Newark residents. I am making it. You know, in this moment, I feel like there's so much heaviness on my heart. That it's like constantly there's something happening constantly. There's people who can't eat. There's everything that's just happening. Then I keep hearing about all of the abuses. I do want to name though, right? I want to name that Delaney Hall, which I know is like a part of the topic of conversation, right, is a microcosm of the mass incarceration system that has been brutalizing Black and brown people in New Jersey for since its existence, right? And what we are seeing right now is a blatant disregard for any form of decency and honoring the humanity and dignity of anybody. And I mean anybody, regardless of whether or not you are inside of a cage, behind the walls, whether or not, like Queen Ghana said, you're on the other side, whether or not you're wearing a clergy collar, whether or not you are youth out there, there is no regard for anyone's humanity or dignity whatsoever. And it's all for profit. And they are benefiting off of trying to pit more Black and brown people against each other. When what we need in this moment is absolute clarity that there are other people whose imagination we are currently living in, and we need to unite to actually stop that. And part of my mission right now is for us to evict Geo Group out of New Jersey completely, because they not only run Delaney Hall for profit, which means they don't care if you're a U.S. citizen, they don't care if you're Black American, they don't care who you are, because your body sitting in that bed pays them every single day.
It's money.
Yes, it's all about money. But they're also the same people that run our halfway houses. They're also the same people that sit and are doing re-entry work. So I also don't want state legislators blinking an eye talking about how bad Delaney Hall is, but not opening up their mouth when it comes to the fact that we are actually cutting checks to the same people, just different populations.
Let's back up though. Let's back up. You
I know.
Coming blazing. Right on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to back up, and I want you to put a pin in one of the first things that you laid out, because it's important for us to amplify one of the contradictions that you laid out. The catalyst for the recent activity was the labor strike, right? And you had the women's strike,
And hunger strike.
Right, that's right. Right. I should have said labor and hunger, because that's what it was. Right? But then and there's been all of that, right? But then you also identified Ghana, before you identified her directly encountering and engaging a Black ICE officer, right? You just alluded to a divide within our community around issues like what we're facing. I want you to amplify that divide and what we need to be talking about and doing to bridge and undo that divide, to build a united front to really be the change that we need to see.
Exactly. So what I really want people to understand is that I think bridging that divide is actually Delaney Hall, because we have a clear target that is hurting everyone, and that is Geo Group, right?
But color people don't walk around talking about that ain't our fight.
First of all,
I don't know who told them to say that, but they walk around talking that stuff.
Right, but and Delaney Hall is full of Black folks. Can we talk about that?
The only one dead was a Black man.
Exactly. It is
full
of Black folks, right? I do think when it comes to Black and brown folks, we got to name that anti-Blackness is a thing. Anti-Blackness is nothing but the colonizer and white supremacy constantly trying to find ways to divide us as people. But the reality is, right, that they're coming for all of us. And the only way we're going to get through this is we actually have to work together and understand that we have the same devil that we're fighting, right? We can't allow ourselves to be manipulated by media, which is why I'm really happy that this venue exists so that you can actually hear the truth. So I'm a Newark resident. I'm online all the time. And I see the conversations that are happening back and forth. So I want to clear something up. Delaney Hall, first and foremost, opened illegally. It is the only place in the country that opened against the law. The day that Mayor Baraka was arrested, which I was down there for, all he did was try to see whether or not we could get some type of an evaluation. Like, can the health department come in? Can there be some type of an inspection? Because this building opened underneath the dark of night, and without an inspection, went from having 400 beds to 1,000. We didn't know if there were children inside, if there were families inside, and we have found out that youth have been inside. Our members of Congress, God bless Congresswoman McIver, was doing her job showing up to make sure she actually did her evaluation, because they are supposed to actually go inside and look to see what the conditions are. So I just want to set the record straight. Can you imagine if that happened anywhere else? Why is it okay for it to happen in Newark? Why is it okay for it to happen here? And the media is painting it as something else. People are doing their job, right? So I just really want to make sure that we're really clear on what is happening. And this is because we are sitting in an authoritarian regime. One that this country has seen before, and Black folks have definitely seen over and over again in different iterations throughout the country, right? That's what we're seeing. They're consolidating power. They're disregarding every piece of the law. And we know that laws a lot of times aren't necessarily just or made for Black and brown folks, but they're disregarding even the basic things. When you think about who's inside, the media will show that there's one population there. It's diverse. There's a lot of Black folks that are sitting inside. However, Black folks, we all show up differently in the community, right? So can you imagine being an immigrant and being Black? One of our leaders, when we did a listening session, they said, I get it twice as hard. Because first I get pulled over by the police because I'm Black. Then I open up my mouth and I have an accent. And then I have to deal with ICE too. Not because anybody ever did anything wrong, but because of the color of our skin. That is what is happening.
That's it.
It has nothing to do with somebody coming in the right way. I also want to let you know, because most Black folks don't know there is no actual right way. For most populations, the Blacker you are, your country does not have a right way, allegedly, to actually enter this country. They have purposely created a caste system that requires this country to operate with undocumented labor. It requires it. What that means is undocumented people pay $96 billion in taxes on the federal level. In New Jersey, $1.2 billion in state and federal. But guess what? They don't get to reap any of those benefits. You know who does? It's actually us.
We do.
They get robbed blind. They literally are getting robbed so that our Social Security gets paid, our SNAP gets paid, our Medicare gets paid, and then they sell us a lie in the media and blame them for the struggles of everybody else, when they are only the ones that are helping to uphold our social safety net. But guess who does benefit? They do this so they can give Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Amazon, Walmart, all sorts of tax breaks. Can you imagine? Many of us have paid more in taxes than Jeff Bezos, the billionaire, has ever. And that
more
is
taxes than Donald Trump has ever paid.
Exactly. And people, we need to understand this, because they purposely hide what is real and what is true from us, because it makes it necessary for us to actually be able to give in to fight each other, because we're being told a different story, right? They purposely only show usually Latino immigrants on the media. Even though I just watched a video yesterday of them running through Newark, throwing Black folks everywhere. It is being orchestrated. We have got to get media literate, and we've got to get closer to each other to actually hear what's going on. Can you imagine you go to court one day, like you're supposed to, and out of nowhere, somebody reaches into that courtroom and brings you out and throws you into a cell? That's what's happening right now. You didn't do anything wrong. You did what you were supposed to do. And because of what's happening with ICE, that means the level of police and ICE interaction, so police, other forms of law enforcement that Black folks is giving, is increasing. And we all know what that means. The only way for Black folks 100% to be okay when it comes to law enforcement is not to have an interaction. Now it's being increased, because last time I checked, if you drive down the street right now, like I'm in my car, you don't know if I'm an immigrant. You don't know who I am, but you know I'm looking for a Black person so I can throw in the cell so I can make money. And then we have, like Ghana brought up, our brothers and sisters that are out there working for ICE, working for Geo Group. And largely it happens, one, because people either think they have no other choice. They think it's not me. We've gotten into this place of me and mine. As long as my people are okay, as long as my family is okay, I can look the other way. But I want to remind people what happened after they got the Nazis. There was the Nuremberg trials, right? And people started saying, I was just following orders. Right now, the same orders that they were given to the Nazis are the same orders ICE agents are giving right now. And they can act as naive as they want to, but if you go online and you really do your research, we are sending people to what is presumed to be death camps and torture camps. We've got pictures. How can we do this? We have to have these conversations at our kitchen table. If your child is an ICE agent, you need to ask them, how can you send off your brothers and sisters to slaughter that simply want to live?
So you said a lot, and I want you to take a step back and talk about your soul too, right? You actually not clergy yourself, but you organize clergy, and we have that tradition, right? And my youngest child is the great niece of somebody by the name of Ella Baker. I'm sure you've heard of her, right?
One of my idols.
Yeah. Miss Ella, as she's referred to, right? Had the task of organizing what became the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Them brothers were ready to go back to church and like it was nothing that ever happened. She said, no, y'all not. Y'all got to take this to the next stage. We got situations like this all over the country. It's time for y'all to be the change we need to see. And Ghana mentioned the question of patriarchy in church, and of course Ella had to deal with that after she organized all those prominent, very patriarchal black men for all the good that they were doing. Right? So as a young woman, right, you could be doing a lot of other things, right? What set you off? What set you off? And what set you off in this particular direction, this faith-centered tradition that's got you so committed to be the change that you're trying to be?
Well, one, in my tradition, because I'm a Unitarian Universalist also, I am a faith leader, just not an ordained one. I will say that if it was not for the divine, I wouldn't even be sitting here. Truth of the matter is, my life story, and every single person that organizes, right? It's our life story that brings us to the work, right? My entire life, white supremacy has been trying to kill me and has almost succeeded more than once. I am adopted. I lived in foster care. I've lost loved ones due to a medical system that they never loved Black women, including my own son. I have experienced exactly what white supremacy does and how it tries to trick us to think it's not the one that's doing the things, right? Like, I have experienced what it is to know that you got to choose between keeping your lights on and maybe putting gas in your car so you can get to work to maybe be able to pay that bill, right? Later. All of it has made me so upset where it could have been my villain origin story. I could have been a Marvel level villain. Or the divine told me that I can also make it so people don't ever have to suffer in the same ways that I have. And that is part of my charge in the world. Part of my charge in the world is to find others who this world has consistently hurt to be able to walk in their power, because God gave it to all of us. It's just whether or not we choose to walk in it, because the world keeps telling us we don't have it, right? So that's what guides me every day, is because I believe that God's people are the most powerful. And the most powerful are always found in the places where there is suffering and pain, and everything. Like, the best organizers I've ever met have a lived experience of mass incarceration, have been impacted by gun violence, have had their loved ones lost because of the medical system, and the world was constantly telling them that they didn't have the power. But we've changed policies. We
constantly telling us we can't.
Exactly. And part of my charge is to be the mirror that says, no, you can. You absolutely can. Because I see the divine in you. And I believe that if we can see each other in that level, there's nothing we can't do. And that's where the threat is, right? The threat is the fact that the more we come together and we see each other, that we're unstoppable. And that's the thing that they care about. That's why ICE was created, honestly, to instill fear and to beat us back in such a way that we don't believe in ourselves anymore.
And you shared some things I haven't actually heard you share. And I'll come back to them another time in another way. Just a critical question, very basic to what we do as organizers. For all that we've done, for all that you're intending to do moving forward, how we doing? What's the temperature? Do we have reason to be afraid, worried, or should we really just take charge of the fact that we did this, we did that, we did this, and we got to do this, we got to do that, and to move forward? What's the temperature out here within our ranks and within our community that needs to be spoken to?
I think that there's still sets of people that are like, man, we done been through some hard times. We always going through some hard times, that don't feel the slight difference in the time that we're in, that need to kind of get off the couch, go find their community.
And that's real important for your generation, because a lot of your generation has not seen what some of us have that we fought through when just killing us was straight legal. And we ain't talking about ICE back in the days that I'm talking about, right? In my lifetime, right? Go ahead, continue.
Exactly. I mean, we are being lynched. Let's say it. We are being lynched. And the lynchings never stopped, but the frequency has increased, right? Quite literally, if we do not build the level of community that we need, we will not make it. And what does that look like? I want to be clear what that looks like. Go have a block party. It is summertime. Do you know every single person on your block? Because that block is actually what's going to get us through when things kick up a notch. We are going to need to go back to this radical mutual love and community that we used to have. Like, I remember growing up, right? My house, because my house was the house that you would find all the kids at. Street lights come on, but you could be at my house, right? Everybody knew that our house was where the kids could go. Where's the house now? Whose house could you go to for a pot of rice? Who can actually, do you know the people on your block that work in healthcare? Because they're taking that on too, right? They're going to try to make it so that we feel as though we can't survive, in hopes that we will turn on each other so they can continue to consolidate power. And the antidote to that is for us to actually work together for survival and say, we don't actually need these things. And I want to put a challenge to the church, right? Most of the things that we need, the skills that we need in order to survive, they're in our congregations. We should all be doing assessments. Who are the nurses? Who are the people that know first aid? Who watch after the babies? Who's the person that can cook from scratch and teach people how to cook from scratch? Because the price is about to be astronomical. If you can't make a biscuit, if you can't make some beans that are dried, it's going to be hard to survive, right? So what I think right now is we have two sets of people. We have people that have their eyes open and that are acting out of such unapologetic love that they are staring down ICE officers and police, and they are showing up. We have people that are taking people home, and then we have people that are being surveilled, like myself, that are doing everything they can. And then we have others that still are like, maybe if I just keep my head down. Maybe if we just make it to this next election, things are going to be okay. I need us to understand that world that we used to have, which never served us anyway, is gone, y'all. But the world that we actually get to have, it hasn't been built yet because we haven't dreamed it yet and come together to build it. Now you got a choice. You got a choice to either be at the table to help build it or a choice to be at somebody else's one. That's where we are. So find a place, find your community, find a place to organize with.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Any who do I have? I want to make sure my co-hosts want to get in anything they want to you, but I think they've all stepped back. Ed, do you want to say anything to this daughter organizer before we wind the segment down?
Well, obviously, I want to ask her the last question, but we do need to come back and have a conversation. I think with her and with your niece, Zaid. I think we need to have a conversation about that conversation that was had in Newark a week or 2 weeks ago, where should Black folks even be involved in what's happening at Delaney Hall? Because I think that there's an education that needs to be had, because
Absolutely.
I think that we need
Political
to have
education.
Yeah. So I think that we need to have a conversation about that, because as I listen, to these two sisters, I think that we understand the importance of it, but I think that we need to have that broader conversation. So I want to look forward to having you come back so that, we can talk about it, Charlene.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing that I think everybody needs to understand, no matter what's happening, it's about Black folks. It's always about Black folks. Immigration about Black folks. No matter what the topic is, underneath it, the real like Black folks are being targeted. And we have to understand, first of all liberation is through Black liberation because of that. So if we don't actually address it and have it addressed from our stance, it might get cleared up for everybody else but us. Because we will always have an additional, well, not always, I'm not going to say always, I don't believe always, but they consistently will give us an additional set of barriers no matter what the topic is. So if you address it for everybody else, those additional set of barriers won't get addressed for us, right? So we have to understand, it's always about us. This surveillance, it's about us. Like, we are the test subjects. Like, when we think about what's happening, I've been surveilled, I've been followed, all of the things, right? It is always about Black folks. So we really have to be clear about that. And then what are we actually trying to build? We got to get to a place of dreaming. Because right now, if we can't dream of something to build, then it's really hard to fight for it too.
Do you want to say anything before you go on to because you've also been doing some training of clergies and faith-based activists. Do you want to share where you're at with that before you go?
Yeah. So I am very blessed that I have been under the tutelage of so many of our elders. Dr. Bernard Lafayette, rest his soul, recently passed away in March, and he is the organizer who was
no Freedom Rider.
Yep, and the organizer that got to Selma 2 years before, and helped to organize around Billy Sunday, the Voting Rights Act, and I'm lucky and blessed to have been trained by him in Kingian nonviolence and non-cooperation. And we have been training faith leaders across not just New Jersey, but across the nation, because in order for us to get out of this, we need to embrace the principles of nonviolence, and Kingian nonviolence at that, which gets to one of the things that Ghana talked about, right? It's about there's harm being done, but Kingian nonviolence at the end is about making sure we address the systems, but that we still give people a way to reconcile. So that Black ICE officer that's causing harm, we have to give him a path back where he actually reconciles and can actually go forward together. That is part of nonviolence. So we've been training people across the state, across the nation, so that we can actually move past this authoritarian government to something else. And I would say be on the lookout for a couple of things that are coming up that you'll be seeing.
I got to ask you this before we ask you the ritual question. How responsive locally has been your training overtures? Because we're concerned about that. There's a question about enough of us locally being engaged in this particular moment at that particular front as well.
Yeah, like I think I'm a firm believer there's a time and a period where you go low, right? And you build and you do things. We're past that moment right now because we did a lot of things where folks probably were like, oh, where'd they go? What happened? Right? What we need is more people that are local to really dig in to the actual organizing. We can't social service our way out of this. We can't food pantry our way out of this. We can't just keep our head down and only worry about a few to get out of this. We actually have to come together and we have to work together in order to do it. I think individualism has harmed us, and right now it's one of those moments where we have to come together more. So please look me up, follow Faith in New Jersey, come to a training. I will help equip you in whatever it is that's necessary, and really think about like who are your people, so we can make sure that they not only survive but they thrive after this.
Right on, baby, right on. Ed, ask her the ritual question, and we make our transition.
So, we are a long-running political hip-hop radio talk show. So, when you out there and you in the trenches and you dealing with, all of this chaos, what hip-hop artist or hip-hop song that you listen to that keeps you motivated and give you the energy to keep pushing?
Well, right after we got tear gassed and pepperballed and all of the things, somebody started playing music, and the first thing I said was, "Boy, that's the wrong song. Where's my Tupac at?" So I think this is a Tupac moment. I also really oftentimes when things are going a little crazy, I'll start chanting Kendrick, "We gonna be all right."
Like that. We're gonna be all right.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right. Blessings, y'all.
Thank you, daughter. Thank you. I'm proud of you. At your back.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
All right.
Oh, it's been a full afternoon, full evening. I want to apologize because we were supposed to have some guests in between that segment in our first segment, and Demo carried some of that space with that conversation we had in between. But we were supposed to have Demi Guo and Josie Gonsalves from Public Square Amplified. Something, for some reason, the email I had for them did not work for some reason, and they didn't get the link. And I apologize. I'll take responsibility for missing that. But other folks are here, right? Denisah Williamson is back, and she's not alone. I told her to bring some of her troops, right? And I'm gonna call them troops because that's how I get down. All right. When she was here last, she was just beginning to, and I don't know if that's my screen or
is that me?
No, you're all right. Ron, why don't you mute yourself until we come to you, son? There you go. All right, just a little static. All right.
And Darren, I said if nobody put respect on your name, you put respect on your name. Put some capitals on that.
Yeah, about that. When you were here last, you were transitioning just to the very beginning of what is becoming Pushh Forward. And it's just a few weeks ago. There's this annual conference of community-based violence intervention people called Pull Up for Peace. And my other child is one of the lead organizers, and y'all know who she is. I ain't got the name of, right? What they call breakout sections. These young G's stood up, talk about I'm gonna push forward and da 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 da. They were getting it in, and I said, "Oh my! Look at that!" And you weren't even in the room. Some of our kids wait for the go ahead, the approval of our adults, responsible for us. Is it okay for me to do this now? They understood that moment right? And they took charge of it, and they really brought some real fresh energy, because it was a question that was around juvenile reentry and all the things that come with that, and they really they really took charge of that moment, and I was very proud of them. And I grabbed all of them, you know, and I said, we definitely want to spotlight you. But they didn't stop there, because we end the conference by crushing the streets of Atlantic City, right? And some of them spoke at the rally, right? But they didn't stop there. I'm walking in, and I hadn't been at the last few meetings because it conflicts with my work schedule and with the Patterson Healing Collective. But I was able to get to our annual Brick City Peace Collective meeting of CVI work in Newark. As soon as I walk in, here they go. They're coming to get us. Look at this. They are on a roll. And within a short period of time, we're seeing young people transform themselves, taking charge of their lives by virtue of real direction and training that they got from people like you. So I wanted you to give them a chance to tell their story, how that happened for them, why they actually made that decision to come to 16th Ave, right, and fall in on you, right, and what that meant for what that has come to mean for them, right. So introduce your troops. Introduce them by you telling the story first, setting the stage for them, right, and where you at with Pushh, right, and then introduce them, and let's let them have a few minutes to tell their story.
I like to always put myself on the clock. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so forever grateful for coming back. But I always like to set myself on the clock. So I'm gonna do 2 minutes. 2 minutes, and I want you to hold me to it. And back in 2023, when I think I came on here in 2023, maybe 2024, and I talked about Pushh, and I wanted to say that I wanted to start a nonprofit organization, Peers Understanding Strategies to Healing and Health. And the reason why I started it is because I was raising my children inside the West Ward, and I watched my daughter cry as she lost her friends and her peers and the people around her. And I was like, this is not okay. Right. I'm working for another organization, right, and in my backyard, I'm losing lives. So I decided to dedicate my life back to the West Ward, where I was raising my kids, where I live at, where I'm always going to be. I'm West Ward every day. West Ward is the best ward. Everybody know me. Any place you see me, I'm saying it because it is not a competition with any other ward. It's because I feel like we have a lot of heart, a lot of community, and I feel like it's the best ward for me. So you could debate it because no other ward is going to embrace me and love me and take me in and under their wing in the way in which I feel like I'm at home when I'm in the West Ward. And so over the last couple of years, I have had the amazing opportunity to meet some young men who have said things to me like, Miss D, we gonna make it. I'm gonna live. And you know what I'm saying? I stand on the shoulders of so many amazing young men inside the West Ward community. We talking about like, I love, upside down, inside out, Shaka McKinney, who has always made sure that, you know, like I was able to have a real space and a real voice inside the West Ward. And I will never, ever stop loving him for that. And what that did was it created a space in this new term that we're starting to talk about is these credible clinicians, because it's not only just credible messengers. I'm a credible clinician. Mm-hmm. So I'm a clinician who knows my community, my environment, and I am pouring into them every single day. So I was very grateful for the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery. Nobody could ever say anything, and it's not political at all. But our mayor, the Honorable Roz Baraka, he provided me, him, Kalisha Wingfield Hill, Lakeisha Uri, provided me with TTA support in the beginning. So I understood business and how to make a way and a pathway for my young people. So I always have to thank them. And then along our ways, we met Dr. Jamila T. Davis, who helped us with curriculums and financial backing and support so that we can take our message on the road. And that was one of the people that actually, like, you know, and Keisha Uri, these are all people that believed in me and put wind beneath my wings. And then on top of that, you know, Baba, you know how much I love you, Zaid. You've been sitting on my board since our inception. Shawadine Regans, who's sitting on our board since inception, Paula White, Naja Baker, who have these people who have given me wings to help me fly with these young people. So it's and my husband who stood by me since, like, when I said I wanted to dream big, baby. So it's always been that thing for me. But I want to make sure that we have this interview that is so focused on them, because we have George that's coming in here, and George, you know, like, and I'm not going to tell his whole story because I want him to tell what he want to tell, but like, he on GISP. And when the first time I met him, they told me George is like, they was like, he a lost cause. You know what I'm saying? They say he don't listen to nobody. And then when they say he don't listen to nobody, he don't do anything that anybody tell him to do. He just runs around wild crazy. And then me to sit with him and then to watch him lead BCPC. Watch him come down when they said he couldn't, said, I can't. His GISP officer didn't give him an opportunity to be able to come. He's like, you know what, Miss D, if they say I can't spend an hour, I'll just come Wednesday. I'll come back Thursday. If I got to get on the bus, I want to be there and I want to show up and show out. That's heart and determination. Yeah. For me to see Karan Paramore, who the first time, like, when I first met him, couldn't even get him to sit still and like raise his hand like, Miss D, can I tell you what the mission statement is? For me to see LC, where they have one of the most known rap songs in the neighborhood about him, and him to come in and be like, oh, you know what, Miss D, I don't want to lose my little homies. I want them to see a better way. For them to be the leaders, for them to be the ones that people keep asking me to bring somewhere, I almost wanted to cry when I see them show up and show off, because I know where they came from. I know their story, and if they want to share whatever part of their story they want to share, they're going to share it for you. But I believe in them. I'm going to keep believing in them. And we just been invited. We just finished planning our trip. We're going to Cleveland, Ohio. Dr. Jamila T. Davis is sending us to Cleveland, Ohio to go to another organization who does mirror work like we do. We are preparing them to not only do advocacy, leadership, mental health, healing, community organizing. It is all collectively in one, because I believe that they're going to save the West Ward. It's about succession planning, and I'm just giving them everything that the people in front of me gave me, and I'm giving it to them. So for me, this is their interview. Thank you for letting me bring them in, but I love them so much, and I just want you to talk to them.
Okay, then so introduce them, right? I'm giving you the mic to set these young G's up. I want to hear these grandsons.
All right, so first, you know, like, is George on here? You know, that is our 100% our mouthpiece. George is full of personality. He has a rich story that I love to hear whatever part of it he's willing to share on a podcast. We have Zarik, which we all know him as LC. And some of us have heard the song, the LC Bop, that was made kind of like about like to him. And then we have Karan Paramore, who I would like to say is
a busybody.
And I'm going to say this in front of him. I think it's one of my greatest accomplishments so far.
Hey, George, is it possible for you to turn on a light where you are?
Yes, sir.
Folks want to hear you and see you. There you go.
Thank you.
There you go. So what order do you want to begin? You want to begin? Who you want to begin with, Miss D?
George is the one that talks the most, so let's see how much he got to give to us. And
so
then Paramore talks a little bit more than LC, but LC has a little more depth sometimes. So whatever.
Was one at a time.
Give him a question and let him jump in.
One at a time, and let's just go on down the line. George, tell us in the language of the generation behind me. Tell us your origin story, how you came to Pushh, and why it's come to mean so much to you.
All right. I came to Pushh around last year. I think it was like last year's summer, like springtime actually. My sister had brought me here because she had told Miss D that she was worried about me. I kept being incarcerated as a juvenile, and I was a lost cause. I ain't gonna lie. I wasn't going to school, not doing any of that. I ain't gonna lie. I was just like a bad kid. So after I met Miss D, 2 days later, I got arrested. then after that, Miss D just been there for me ever since. Like ever since. She barely even knew me at the time either. So that's why I'll be so grateful for her sometimes.
Now, what about some of the that y'all stood up and expressed yourselves in a way that I was very proud of, and you know, haven't been to 16th Ave in a little while, right? What got you to a point where y'all had the confidence to stand up the way you did in Atlantic City and just a minute ago at the Brick City Peace Collective meeting?
My confidence was thinking how hard Miss D be going for us, and if we can't go hard for her, it's just like, what's the point of any of this?
How old are you? How old are you, George?
I just turned 18.
18. Yeah, the rest means something else now.
Yeah.
Right. So let's go on down the line. Who we got next? Zarik, why don't you come in and talk to us, Grandson? Tell us your
How y'all doing?
Yes, and this is the lyricist in the mix.
I can't hear him. It's like his volume low.
Hello? Do this. Go out, change your browser, and come back in. Sometimes it gets funny like that. Right? Just go out and come back in. We here. We're not going anywhere. All right. Oh, he can't hear me. Who can you hear, Kyron? See if he can hear you, Denisah.
Caroline, can you hear me?
I can hear y'all, but I can't hear him.
Can't hear him. Okay. Go out and come back in. Go out and come back in because we want y'all to hear each other. All right. Go out and come back in.
So, Kyron, just go out, come back in.
Right? Is Stewie here with you, Karan?
No.
All right, log out for a second and then log right back in, okay?
Yeah. Okay. See, the connection might be a little better. Okay. All right, son. Tell us your story. We want to hear you. We want to hear you sound the drum. And you the lyricist in the mix, right?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm the lyric. I'll say like I'm more of the dance.
Okay.
Oh wow. Okay.
But the story with me is I'll say like I came to Pushh around sometime like last year. It was like around the summertime. I was coming there with my friends and stuff. But like I wasn't even in the program yet. I was just there, like just being around. And I was just seeing like how much like she loved the kids and stuff. And then like it was around the time I did get Justin impacted. And then like I heard she was looking for me and stuff. And then like when I did, I started coming in. And then like what really made it like this was like her looking for me. Like I wasn't like gonna expect like nobody looking for me to come to their program and like stuff like that. But yeah, I'll say that though.
That's
it was like
a big deal. Yeah, that's a big deal. I can appreciate that. How old are you now, son?
I'm 17.
17. Okay. You right on the edge. Right? You right on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
What has Pushh done for you?
Well, right? Pushh done for me so far, I'll say like it keeps me out of trouble. Like the time I'm there for like 3 hours, like 3-4 hours every day of the week. After that, it just make me like keep me focused, better mindset, working on my life skills, and just like my future and stuff.
Awesome, son. Awesome. I'm proud of all you. Now let me see if Kyron, how are you now? Can you hear us now, son? Are we able to hear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good. Now it's your turn.
Okay.
Tell us your origin story. What brought you to Pushh and how come how you got connected and why that's become so important to you?
Actually, my first interaction with like Miss D and Pushh, I was walking with my friends after school, and like they was in the program and I wasn't, and I was like kind of bored, getting into trouble, just doing just wild stuff. Then my friend had brought me, but I wasn't in the program, so I was just visiting. Then I spoke to Miss D, and actually my friend LC, he had introduced me to Miss D, and it just started from there. Start like getting my life together, trying to get my life together, trying to grow, and just talking to Miss D every day, trying to come and just being there every day, staying out of trouble, step by step.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, let me ask each of you this question. What are you doing for yourselves now, for your future, that you did not see and weren't thinking about doing before you came to Pushh?
Wait, I don't think I can hear you now. I don't know if you're talking.
Oh, yeah, I was talking. I was saying a lot, too. Can you hear me now?
I don't think I can hear you.
Miss
I'm
D,
about to
ask
try
the
to
question.
reset.
Man, ask if he hears you.
He said, what do you
he
feel
went back.
like you're
He went
doing
out.
for yourself now?
He went
Now
out.
that
He
you've
went
been
out. He's trying to
inside the
come back
program.
in. He's learning how we doing, right? Sharik, what's
Yeah,
that?
me too a little bit. I ain't gonna lie. Like I keep
Okay.
having technical difficulties.
Okay, yeah.
I heard
I
y'all
think
though.
it might be because y'all on your phones and some of us are on computers. Cause y'all using Safari or y'all using
What y'all
Google
asking
Chrome?
though? I can answer that.
Yeah, I'm on Safari.
Okay.
Okay.
Sometimes
I heard the question though.
Okay,
What's
go
the
ahead and answer.
question?
Go ahead and answer.
I'll say what I'm doing now, like that I wasn't thinking about. Like I was thinking about it, but like staying out of trouble. But like I'm doing it more as now, like ever since I've been in Pushh, I say.
Okay. All right. George,
The
can you
thing
hear
is,
us?
yeah, I can hear y'all. What am I
What?
doing now since I've been involved with Pushh? I graduated high school.
Okay, there you
Oh
go.
wait. Oh,
Advocate
ourselves.
advocate for myself and have others advocate for me in court. What else I can say?
You off the ankle monitor.
I'm taking my life skills that I'm learning inside Pushh out into the real world. Like,
You got your driver's
when I'll be
license.
meeting people, like the event Pull Up for Peace, when I was talking to people, I didn't expect myself to be talking to people like that. And I didn't expect for people to hear me and actually sit down and get a chance to want to listen to me.
Yeah, that was good. That was good for everybody on all sides.
So can
Right?
hey Zaid, can we
Yeah.
just stop right there for a second?
Sure.
When he said that he didn't expect for people to hear from him or to hear him. What can you expound on that a little bit?
I cannot hear him. Can one of y'all repeat the question to
He
me?
said, "Can you expound on it?" He said he didn't. What
I
do you
can't
mean
hear
by
any of y'all.
you
I
can't hear
see you
me?
talking, Miss D.
Oh.
I can hear bro though.
Oh, you
Okay.
can hear Baba. Zaid, he can hear
Okay.
you. They can't hear nobody else.
Edry asked the question, so I get it right.
So
I'll relay it to him.
you know, he said that he didn't expect the people to hear him. What did he mean by that?
Yeah, I know if you probably didn't hear that, Joe, but you didn't, when you said you didn't expect people to hear you. What did you mean by that? Who has heard you, and how has that made a difference for you?
What I mean by that is like, look at me. I'm a kid from the West Ward. Who gonna sit down and look and be like, yeah, he about to say something intuitive. He about to say something smart. Every time somebody look at me, they either see a delinquent, a bad kid, or just nobody. So when I seen all y'all sitting there listening to what me and my brothers had to say at Pushh, I was just like, yeah, this is a good feeling.
So you wanted to add something to what you were saying earlier. Jump back in.
So, I would like. The question was, what was the question again? Like I remember the
I
question.
asked you, what are you doing now for yourself and for your future since you've been at Pushh that you weren't doing when you first came in?
Oh, yeah, I heard the question like a little bit twisted. That's why I get one thing.
That's all right.
But I say like yeah, back from my other answer. I'm staying out of trouble. I'm doing better things, looking for jobs. Just just trying to get my life together. To be honest, more better.
So
But yeah. Oh, also like he said, they also help me get off the ankle monitor as well and stuff like that.
So Zaid, I wanna deal with that hear me thing, right? And the reason I want to do that is because you know when we talk about these young
Once
brothers,
again, can you relay his message to me? I can't hear him.
when these young brothers talk about hearing them, right? And when they talk about staying out of trouble and acting out, is acting out akin to getting attention so people can hear them or pay attention to them? Is that what it is? Because he's saying that, you know, when he was at this event, he said that who's going to listen to him? One, because he's from the West Ward. Two, because he's a teenager, and I guess three, because he's a young black male. I mean, is that what we're talking about? We're talking about people being able to hear him and not prejudge him before they see him.
Mm-hmm.
And is that why these young brothers are acting out?
Ms. D, go ahead, translate that for him because he didn't hear, because he can't hear Ed.
I'm thinking that the question is that we have like a little bit, like Kalisha had said this a couple of weeks ago, is that young men need to feel safe, seen, and supported. And that youth inside the city of Newark need to be safe, seen, and supported. And I think that one of the things that George was talking about is that too often, for those of us from the West Fork, Denisah sometimes included, we don't feel seen. So I think the question to you, George, is that, and Zarik, that's still here, is that why do you feel unseen, and why do you feel unsupported, and where have you transitioned into being seen and supported?
Excellent reframing.
I say I don't feel seen because, let me see.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat it to y'all. The only reason why we don't be feeling seen in the West Ward is because the only time we either seen, heard about, or looked at is if we killed somebody, or our whole block been arrested, or if it's something negative. And as I've been growing up, I realized that's not the way I want to be seen. So that's like not being seen at all.
Yeah, I agree. Like I feel like that's the only way. Like they see the West Ward in a negative way. They don't really see the West Ward in a positive way. Like not to some people, but kind of the majority of people.
So you guys keep saying the West Ward. Y'all believe that that's only a problem that exists in one particular ward with young black men in the city of Newark? Y'all don't believe that exists in the South Ward?
No, it happens in all the wards, but it's just like if you lived a day in a life in the West Ward, you'll see what we be talking about. Like it's us. It's like West against everybody else, like cops, civilians. Now I ain't gonna lie to like our community. They love us. Don't get me wrong, but like when like out of towners and people like them start coming in, they look at us weird. They look at us different. The cops harass us. Who else harass us? And just pretty much antagonize us. Like they want to see us do bad.
I just want to just talk about some of the infrastructure. So, like, if you look at it, number one, they're talking about access. You know, they may not be like saying it in the way that all adults understand.
Right.
And then what also you have to understand, the most affluent part of Newark, we can say, is like downtown Newark. West Ward is the furthest ward from downtown Newark. We are the only ward that doesn't touch a part of downtown Newark.
Can you explain that?
Because if you look at the backside of downtown Newark,
I didn't thought of that.
Water Market, the East Ward, Water Market, South Ward still touches it. Central Ward is it. North Ward is a part of it. The West Ward is the only ward in the city of Newark that doesn't touch downtown Newark, which is our district, which is the business district. We don't touch it.
Never thought of that.
So let me ask
you. Talk about opportunity and access. Yes, we feel ostracized because we are blamed first, so we feel ostracized. So like I'm not saying that I have not spoke life into my young people, that we create opportunities for ourselves, and we are a community of individuals that are collectively working together. Yes. Yeah, but the reality situation is that we've maintained a level of community and a sense of pride, even when we are forgotten.
And let me ask, so have you communicated this to Councilman Kelly?
Councilman Kelly, first thing first, I want to say that Councilman Kelly, I'm so surprised that I didn't say his name first. He is one of our biggest supporters.
Yes, he is.
He has always worked in every single block party that we've had. We have had, and historically, we have had block parties that would come on our 4th annual block party for 15th Avenue, 18th Street. And we've had over 300 young people in every single one of our block parties that they worked at that have been violence-free. On neighborhoods and communities that are historically the most violent neighborhoods inside of the West Ward. So Councilman Kelly, I've discussed that with him. No, I have never discussed with him that I feel like while we are forgotten the most because we're the only ward that doesn't touch downtown Newark. No, I have not said that.
What do you think needs to happen in order for the West Ward, and particularly these young brothers, not to be seen? What do you think needs to happen?
I think that they are seen right now.
Yes.
I think that the fact that they're on this show,
they're starting to be seen. Absolutely.
And I think that it will.
They earned it.
They earned it, and I think that someone gave them access and opportunity to be seen, makes them seen, and gets to amplify their voice. And my goal is just to amplify their voice. I asked them, like, what do you want to do your community walk at? Where do you want to do your next block party at? Where do you think we should go? Like, even when people ask us to come to other places, I say, where do y'all want to stay? You want to stay here or do you want to stay there? This is your choice. This is your program. This is your life. All I am is the vessel, the vehicle. I'm just the person in the back room writing the grants and providing the money and the access. They're doing the work. This is not my triumph. It's theirs.
So I heard one of the young brothers, first he said he was 18. I heard all of them say they were getting their lives together and looking for a job. What type of skill training are they learning? Right? Because one of the keys to getting a job, or whether you get a job, is if you have a skill, you're able to employ yourself no matter what. I'll give you an example. Just like them, I grew up in the West Ward maybe 40 years ago when the Georgia King Village was first built. My family moved into the Georgia King Village. But thank God for boxing. I boxed over on 8th Street, which wasn't that far from there. And so I would walk from Georgia King Village in the West Ward through 8th Street, cross South Orange Avenue and all of that. And it was boxing that at 17 years old that helped me get my life together. So these guys I'm looking at are the same age as I was. And of course, boxing took me to the world, eventually took me to college, eventually took me to law school, all of those things. I'm no different than these young brothers. I'm curious to know from them, when you say you getting your life together, does that include you thinking about some type of skills, some type of training? Because I'm thinking about what I was doing at 17 years old living in the West Ward. Either one of you can answer that.
All right. I could say that the skills and training that we learning right now is that we all got a fear of public speaking. So me doing this right now is crazy.
Okay.
But I don't learn so much. I feel comfortable doing it. So I don't really mind. I feel like that's one of the biggest skills I learned at Pushh. Because I don't really like public speaking for real. Then what about my future? I'm going to the Navy probably like the end of August. I'm gonna be going.
Really? All right.
Yeah. So I feel like everything I wanted to do and everything I needed to do, Pushh helped me with that. Like, you don't even understand it. And with other kids, I could really say Pushh just a safe space. Like that's a skill on its own, learning how to be comfortable. And a lot of kids feel comfortable at Pushh. So whatever they feel as though they want to give or take from it, that's what they do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Any one of you other young brothers?
I want to give Paramore an opportunity to speak. and talk about the passport program and all that you learned from there. Go ahead, Paramore.
One thing I definitely learned that Pushh is also like, it's like all in one. It's a safe place, and it's also like a helping hand. It's also like it's gonna be there for you on a bad day. It's gonna be there for you on a good day, and also just I feel like it helped me grow. And also on the passport program, we work on I can't pronounce the word.
You were struggling to say that the other day. You got it. You got it.
Advocacy. I have like problem going to G, like the G part. But yeah, we learn IFC, life skills, and like a lot of other stuff. And all our programs is umbrella, passport, strength, hope, and hands. And our mission statement is to empower youth, make positive choices, and just to impact our overall well-being. And I feel like we get into that every step of the day that we come to Pushh.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And George, you wanna respond to that?
I couldn't hear him. I can only hear y'all.
He went over the programs, George.
Okay.
I just want to because I do thank you so much, Mr. Riley, for asking that question. I just want to say that they are, this end of the day, they are kids. I don't want to seem like I'm their mouthpiece, but you know what I'm saying, I'm still training them every single day. Part of the passport program is where they do their professional and personal development. So all of our young people, number one, have learned how to create their own personal resume. We have tablets where they are able to learn how to type. They're learning how to use technology, AI. On top of that, in their personal professional development, we started a book club where we're increasing their reading skills so that they understand how
huge.
And being able to translate reading. Just not only what they read is how they in their cognition. They're not able to kind of translate all of those things instantaneously right now, but we're working on that. We're getting there. We're reading a very impactful book called Ghost Boys with one of our community partners, Gems to Jewels. We're reading Ghost Boys right now. So it's not only just about increasing their literacy, yes. We're increasing their cognition as well. All of our young people participate in case management, which we do cognitive behavioral therapy. So we're attacking behaviors. We always attack behaviors. We do not attack people. Also, they have been able to learn in the time that they've been there at Pushh. Besides the personal professional development, they've learned community organizing. They create from data. They've allowed data to really tell them where they need to go. They do community walks every Wednesday. They have a conversation with every one of their peers who are incarcerated. They call their mothers every Wednesday, our Wellness Wednesdays. So they're still in contact with the parents. So it's also showing community. On top of that, on Thursdays, they learn advocacy under our umbrella program. They go to court for themselves. However, their peers appear in court with them. So they're also learning that skill as well as being able to speak up and speak out. So we are teaching them transitional skills, but most of our young people are still in high school. Yeah. But Dr. Davis also has given them an opportunity to do the entrepreneurship program called Boss Up, that they're going into their week 2, where they're learning how to be entrepreneurs, how to create a mission statement, a logo, to be able to create their own pathways to generational wealth.
Awesome.
I can't tell you, sister, how impressed I am with you. I can't tell you how impressed I am with these brothers. I sit here and I look at them and I see myself, right? I can remember being 17 years old, living in the West Ward, and I can say that if it had not been for the 8th Street boxing gym in the West Ward, there, but for the grace of God, I don't know where I would be. But it was because, somebody, had a gym, and so therefore there was a place where I had.
That was your safe space.
Yeah. So I had that safe space, but I also had fighting skills that allowed me to take them someplace else that didn't, I didn't have to do it in school. I didn't have to do it, in some other space where I may have gotten hurt or hurt somebody. But the boxing allowed me to be able to, not only go to the Golden Gloves, the internationals, the nationals, and win a whole bunch of amateur fights and then turn professional. So I want to say that I think that I'm so proud of these young brothers, and I'm proud of you. And so, I don't want them to be afraid of public speaking. I mean, I would go so far as to say that, if they want to create a program with me on this program where they can pull together their peers, come back and, sit down and have a real live conversation, on a regular basis where they're talking to each other and talking to the world. I'm willing to do that with them and have those conversations about doing that, because, you've got to be able to communicate with the world so the world not only knows how you feel, but also knows what it is you want the world to be able to hear from you. Because like that young brother said, he was surprised that somebody would even want to hear from him. No, I want to hear from you. And I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of other people that want to hear from you, my brother. And I was thinking about something I was having with one of my mentors today about something we're working on, and it's called testimonies. And when you give your testimony, and if y'all want to go look that word up, my brothers, this testimony is really just your story. It's about what you've been through. It's about how you survived. And if you can tell that there are other people that have no idea how you guys are living or surviving, your testimony can help pull some other young brothers in your community and other communities out of the pit. So I want you all to think about that, and maybe next time you come back, maybe we can talk about that, and talk about testimonies and see if you can, as my friend Les Brown would always say, he would talk about developing your story, because your story, that is your testimony, can take you to the world and take you to places that you have no idea where they can take you. So I thank all of you young brothers for coming on the show.
Yes.
Appreciate you.
They just came back from Atlantic City. They're going to Cleveland.
We're going to Cleveland on the 25th.
Yeah, we can go.
And like I said,
you've been some other trips, didn't you?
We went to Boston last year.
Right.
We're going to Cleveland in 2 weeks. We just voted on the Airbnb we're going to stay in. They was in the chat like,
shout out Wade.
We staying at Wade Manor. I know, right? That's named after my husband, like a little joke. We are scheduled to go to Detroit.
By the way, too. You sisters doing this work, you bring it to your life personally matters too. So I'm glad that you got a good Wade, and and Wade is all with you.
I need me a little Wade, but we're going to Cleveland in 2 weeks. Then we're going to Detroit. We have 2 more block parties inside of Newark. We're still voting because we're going. We've been invited to Josiah Muhammad's mosque to come to a community meeting this Sunday that we'll be attending and presenting at. And then we are going to Cleveland. And then all of those who are leaders in that are going to be able to decide what our next block party is. And then we're ending our summer on 818, always 15th Avenue, 18th Street. This is going to be our 4th year that we've done it. But we always say, as I tell them, I said, if we heal the people, we'll help the streets. And that's our mantra when we do our community walks. If we heal the people, we'll help the streets.
Right on. I'm proud of y'all. Listen, and ask them the ritual question.
So
I'm dying to get these answers on this one.
Yeah, I think you young brothers heard me ask the other sister this question. So while you all are out there speaking to folks and developing and thinking about your futures, what hip hop song or hip hop artist you guys listening to that help you stay focused?
Young
Lil
boy.
Durk, Free Dirt.
Young boy.
Young boy.
He on our wall.
Okay.
But if you
And that's gonna
ask
be,
me,
your answers are going to be different from
Yeah, we want to hear
No.
yours.
generation
No,
and
because
that generation.
no,
So we
let
really
me tell you
wanted to
something,
hear
because
that.
they created me. Like I just told them the other day, I said, I really have to reevaluate my life. The fact that I spend my whole day with a bunch of 14 to 18-year-olds, and I'm on the phone with one of them almost every. I talk to Zarik almost every day. Me and Zarik is like, he's so quiet today. He's really like my executive assistant. I just don't even think that anybody understands. Zarik is the person I talk to when I'm trying to think out, so I could be neutral. George makes sure I put all my paperwork in. George be sitting there, he'll come in early and help me do my case notes and stuff like that. And Paramore, he drives me so crazy that it makes me come up with new things to do. Because Paramore, all he wants is a hug. You give Paramore a hug every single day and he all right. All he wants is a hug and a snack. He's like, Miss D, is it time for the snacks? Can we have some slushy? I'm like, yo. But it reminds me of being, it's like, like Paramore, like, and he doesn't even understand that he keeps me human. He keeps me remembering that I'm somebody's mother, that I'm a matriarch, that I belong to this community. It's not only just about Denisah. And if you ask me what song that I think about that keeps me pushing, real talk is Something to Prove.
Something to Prove? Who's that by?
Somebody,
Lil
who's
Baby.
it by?
Yeah.
Paramore, who is it by?
Lil Baby and 42 Dugg.
Thank you.
Okay.
So wait, Gunner, right? I think.
No, baby. Yep, I have something that, like, and if you listen to the song
I know
right now, in the season that I'm in right now, I got something to prove.
Oh yeah, I like that. I gotta go pull that song down. We're gonna talk to our DJ Rhino. We're actually gonna do a live show at Reverend Roundtree, Councilwoman Roundtree's mansion next month. So they're gonna have a live audience. So it would be great if you guys want to come through. We're gonna broadcast live from there. Maybe Zaid can give you all that information when we have it ready.
I get it. Yeah, as soon as it's ready, you got it.
Let me tell you something. Every
I would
opportunity
love
that
that
we have to
opportunity.
bring information, access, and resource to the West Ward, you can count us in.
Okay.
If it's not George, Zarik, and Karan, it'll be any one of us, because our goal is just to keep bringing information, access, and attention to the West Ward.
Yeah. Yeah, but we would definitely want to broadcast and show these two young brothers, and want to encourage them to keep pushing.
Unintended.
Yeah,
We gonna look forward to that.
I want to encourage them to keep doing that. And if you guys come, I'll introduce you to a young brother who I met, whose grandmother kicked him out of school, kicked him out of our house, and he dropped out of school. This was about 30 years ago, and went to live with his aunt. And today that young brother is a college graduate, has a master's, has an undergraduate degree in accounting, a master's in finance, and he runs a bank in New York City. He has an incredible story to tell, and if he told you he used to be like you, when you look at him and look at his family, look at his house, his cars, you say, "Oh hell no, that can't be true." But when you hear that young brother's story, I mean, it will blow your mind. I mean, I told him he needed to write a book, because when I met him, his name was Milk. He wouldn't even tell you his name was Milton. He would say his name was Milk because he said milk did your body good. And he was always running around trying to be with every girl he could meet. And that's why his grandmother kicked him out of our house.
But, that might be George.
But I'm so proud of you, brothers.
Thank you so much for having us. I just wanted to say that we are located at 95 16th Avenue, Newark, New Jersey, 07103. Please follow us on our social media page, Pushh, Pushh, _forward on Instagram and Facebook. And if you're looking for us on our webpage, it is Pushh, PUSHHNJ.org. We are always available anytime you want to see us, talk to us. And we're going to Cleveland in 2 weeks. We are so excited.
And Cleveland came bus deep to Atlantic City for pull up.
And they want us to.
And y'all need to be building with people around the country. There is more to the world than the West Ward.
Yes, and we're going to Cleveland. We're going to Detroit.
For real, West around the world.
We are going around the world, and it is all about them.
Right on.
I love them, and I know they love me too.
That's right. We love you. We love all y'all too.
Shout out Miss D. Shout out.
Look forward to having you brothers back. We look forward to having you brothers back. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Make sure because we've been on here year 1, year 3. Y'all gotta have us back in year 5. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for having us.
Anytime you need to come on.
All right.
Thank you.
Powerful night.
Oh yeah.
Powerful night. Again, if I give it a 99, if Josie and Demi had got on, I'd give it 100. And you know that's we just had a glitch and I had the wrong email for or whatever. You know, we'll bring it back.
Yeah,
we'll bring it back.
No problem.
I guess we got to end this show now, huh?
Yeah, we got to find a way to get out of here. But Zaid, I really enjoyed Miss D. I enjoyed her 3 young.
I'm very proud of her.
Pupils. Really, really impressed by them. So we definitely want to invite them to come to that the live thing we're going to put together at the mansion. You know, and it would be great for them to see Minister Hawk and hear from him.
Mm-hmm.
Since they're going down to the mosque anyway, but part of that live audience. Because
I didn't know about that meeting. I might need to call Josiah and say what's up.
That'd be a good meeting, you know. But anyway, Zai, you got any final announcements you want to make?
Well, you know, just very briefly, Sunday is an important day in our history. Newark, the beginning of the epic Newark uprising, right? I mentioned Plainfield and Bill Davis reminded us the Plainfield Rebellion. Also, Newark set off almost 70 rebellions around the country. The biggest, of course, was Detroit after Newark. But the organizing that came out of those uprisings is what matters. And that's what needs to be studied. And we've always made moves. We've always changed our condition whenever we dared to figure out to try to come together and build a united front. And the time is now for that. Also, next year, there is going to be a Black Power Conference to honor the 60th anniversary of the National Black Power Conference. And that's being driven by the city of Newark and of all entities, NJPAC, because NJPAC has the space, and we're doing the whole space where the original Black Power Conference took place in 67. So just put a pin in that. Some of those folks who are involved in that may show up on Sunday, 2 o'clock, 250 Springfield Avenue, the Rebellion Monument.
What's the date for that Black Power Conference?
It's not set yet. It's not set yet, but it will definitely be next year, probably in July, sometime between July and October, I would think. And it's definitely going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. It won't be on the scale of what we were trying to do a couple years ago.
Okay, but
it'll be something to honor this transition, because that whole area is being built out. There's some housing that's being built right around NJPAC. There's a lot of healthy development that's going on around that. And to their credit, they came forward because of people like Junius Williams. I want to shout Junius Williams out, one of our movement elders and legal elders, right? They had the sensitivity to make sure that they were contributing to the honoring of the history and the history of the space. And you know, it wasn't like that in the beginning, in the early days of New Jersey and JPAC. We had to protest on their behind, right? But they've actually that space has become a responsive art space, and that's also in our tradition too. You know, so look forward to that. Sunday, 2 o'clock, honor the Newark uprising and the transformation that is taking place as we march to the Office of Violence Prevention, which used to be the first ward. We used to get the hell beat at us, for real, right? So yeah. I'll just leave it there and just thank everybody. We go on down the list. The great Lawrence Hamm and Bill Davis, People's Organization for Progress. Ghana Imani Hylton and Charlene Walker, the 2 young faith leaders putting in their work. And of course, the great Denisah Williamson and those incredible young brothers from Pushh Ahead as they continue to move forward, trying to change these young brothers' lives.
Yep. And also let's not forget, of course, this weekend is going to be our First Lady's African Beats Festival. Our First Lady, Linda Baraka.
It's Saturday. Was it Saturday or was it both days?
Starts today. It's a 2-day festival. It starts Friday and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday. Okay, because I didn't get the dates. I knew it wasn't Sunday. Last year it conflicted with the March.
Yeah, it did.
That out.
Yeah. So it's so just so folks know, it's actually downtown, right there at Military Park, right there at right on Broad Street, right across from Prudential Center, or right across the street from Robert Street Hotel. So
people been loving on that Afrobeat Fest too.
Oh, it's incredible.
I haven't been able to go because of what I just said, but people been loving on it. I've been hearing
the music. The music is incredible. I mean,
all over our world.
All of those artists and have that music. So we want to say to our First Lady, of course, Linda Baraka, she does an excellent job.
She got that honestly.
Yeah.
Her mother, her father, Maxwell Juma, was the pioneer of that kind of Pan-African energy when he was around years ago.
Right.
She got that very honestly. So yeah, shout out to her and her father.
Well, she's doing an incredible job, and every year it gets bigger and better. So you can imagine what it's going to look like starting tonight. So if you can make it tomorrow, we'll see you down there. I'm definitely planning on making my way through there. Not only get some food, but to hear some great music. So, as my brother Zaid would say, we thank all of y'all for tuning in. We'll see y'all next Friday. Of course, next Friday is the Mayor's Forum, so tune in so y'all can hear directly from our brother. But until then, Zaid, we say we'll catch him where?
We'll see you in the whirlwind.
Catch you in the whirlwind.
Don't stop.